In the Golden Age era of Hollywood, there was less tolerance for affairs and illegitimate children. It could be the end of your career as an actor, and it's like putting a noose over your life socially. So imagine being born as an illegitimate child here. Some were terminated before they even got a chance to breathe. Others were condemned and forced to live in shame. But their stories would break your heart into a million pieces.
Things like that can only happen in a country like America.
Judy Lewis. Now, back in the day, Loretta Young was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Beautiful, talented, and very much in the public eye. But here's where things take a twist. Loretta had a secret affair with Clark Gable, who was also a massive Hollywood star, best known as Rhett Butler from Gone with the Wind. At the time, though, both of them were involved with other people. Clark was married, and Loretta had her image to protect. So when Loretta ended up pregnant, this was a huge problem, especially in an era where a public out-of-wedlock pregnancy could have destroyed her career. They had to keep the pregnancy a secret. It was already a scandal waiting to happen. So, to keep the scandal under wraps, Loretta did what a lot of actresses of that time did. She disappeared. She took a vacation from Hollywood, went away for months, and gave birth in secret in 1935. No paparazzi, no media frenzy. She had everything planned out to the last detail, even hiding the pregnancy from most of the people closest to her. It was the perfect plan. But here's where it gets interesting. When she eventually returned to Hollywood, she didn't just reveal that she had a baby. No, she made it seem like she had adopted this little girl, Judy, a year later. Imagine that, a mother adopting her own child and keeping it a secret from nearly everyone, including the child herself. That's the kind of secrecy that dominated the golden age of Hollywood. For most of Judy's childhood, she had no idea who her real parents were. She grew up believing that Loretta was just her adoptive mother. But before then, Lewis went through hell. After she was born, Loretta Young didn't bring her daughter home right away. Instead, Judy spent the first 19 months of her life in various hideaways and orphanages. Loretta was still trying to keep the whole situation under wraps. Eventually, she adopted Judy, which, as we know now, was just part of her plan to conceal the truth about Judy's parentage. When Judy was around 4 years old, Loretta married a radio producer named Tom Lewis. That's when Judy took his last name, becoming Judy Lewis. Loretta and Tom had 2 more kids together, 2 sons, Christopher and Peter. So now Judy's growing up in this family and she's finally happy and at peace, but there's one small problem. She looks a lot like Clark Gable, especially those famous ears of his that stuck out. It was a resemblance that was hard to ignore. But you would not believe what her mother, Loretta, did next. She actually had Judy undergo a painful surgery to pin her ears back up when she was just 7 years old. It was yet another attempt to hide the truth about who Judy's real father was. Can you imagine that? Going through surgery just to keep up appearances? Then, when Judy was about 15, her mother made another film with Clark Gable called Key to the City. During that time, Gable came over to visit Loretta's house, and that was the one and only time Judy ever met him. He asked her a few questions about her life, then kissed her on the forehead when he left. The kicker? Judy had no idea that Gable was her biological father. He was just this famous guy who stopped by for a brief visit. As Judy got older, she started to feel the weight of all the secrecy. She talked about how isolated and confused she felt growing up, like something was always off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. She didn't feel fully connected to her family, and it's no wonder why. She was living in this web of lies and half-truths that shaped her entire childhood. It must have been incredibly tough knowing something was wrong but not being able to understand what it was until much later in life. Judy finally learned the truth in the most heartbreaking way possible, as an adult. She found out that the woman who raised her was actually her biological mother, and her father was none other than Clark Gable, the biggest heartthrob of his time. Loretta kept this secret for so long, and when Judy finally confronted her, Loretta admitted it, but still refused to publicly acknowledge the truth. Can you imagine the pain Judy must have felt knowing her whole life had been a lie? She spent much of her adulthood grappling with feelings of abandonment and betrayal, constantly wondering why her mother couldn't just be honest with her. To make matters worse, Clark Gable never had any real involvement in Judy's life. He didn't acknowledge her, and he never played a fatherly role. This had to be tough for Judy, growing up in the shadow of two Hollywood legends but never fully knowing or being accepted by them. So, for Judy, the scandal haunted her throughout her life. She wrote a memoir about it later, expressing how much the secrecy and lies affected her. She carried that burden, always wondering why she wasn't publicly acknowledged and why her mother chose to keep such a vital part of her identity hidden. It's the kind of story that really makes you feel for the people who lived behind the glittering Hollywood curtain, where image was everything and human emotions were often sacrificed for the sake of stardom. Roberto Rosolini. It all started back in 1949. Ingrid Bergman was already one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, but she wasn't just about fame. She genuinely admired good filmmaking. Two films by Italian director Roberto Rosolini had really caught her attention, and instead of just being content with watching from afar, Bergman decided to write him a letter. In this letter, she expressed how much she loved his work and casually suggested they collaborate on a film. And, well, let's just say things escalated from there. Rosolini was quick to cast Bergman in his next project, Stromboli, and this is where the sparks really started to fly. During the production of the film, Bergman and Rosolini began an affair. Now, keep in mind, Bergman was still married to Petter Lindstrom at the time, but the chemistry between her and Rosolini was undeniable, and soon enough, it turned into something much more serious. And as you might already know by now, back in the 1950s, this wasn't just gossip. It was a full-blown scandal. Hollywood had a very polished image to uphold, and having one of their biggest stars involved in an extramarital affair was a no-no. But soon enough, it got 10 times worse when Ingrid got pregnant as a result of her affair and eventually gave birth to a son named Roberto Rosolini in 1950. Now, as you can imagine, this was a huge deal, and not in a good way. This sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. People were not only shocked that she had a child out of wedlock, but the affair itself felt like a betrayal to her public image. Bergman went from being one of the most beloved actresses in the world to a symbol of moral outrage almost overnight. She was condemned by Hollywood, criticized by the press, and even denounced on the floor of the U.S. Senate. Imagine that. A senator actually called her out as being an example of perverted morals. As for Roberto, he was born into the eye of the storm. His very existence was the center of this scandal, and that had to have some serious consequences on his life. First off, he had a strained relationship with Hollywood from the get-go. He wasn't just another kid. He was the product of one of the most controversial love affairs of the era. It's one thing to have famous parents, but to be born into a situation where the world views your birth as a scandal? That's a tough legacy to carry. Bergman's career took a huge hit, too. She was shunned by Hollywood for years, which meant that Roberto grew up in a time where his mother's name was often associated with disgrace, rather than the legendary actress she was. She moved to Italy to be with Rosolini, and while her career eventually bounced back, that period was marked by rejection and judgment, not just for her, but for her son, too. Imagine growing up knowing that your birth was the reason your mother was ostracized from an entire industry. That's a lot for a kid to carry. The damage to Roberto wasn't just public, it was personal. Having to grow up in the shadow of such a high-profile affair with parents who were constantly in the media for their turbulent relationship must have been emotionally taxing. His childhood was essentially defined by his parents' scandal, and it's hard to feel like you're living a normal life when the world already has its opinions about your family before you even know what's going on. So, in a way, Roberto's life was shaped, and possibly even damaged, by the choices his parents made and the public's harsh reaction to those choices. He was innocent in all of it, but he still had to deal with the fallout, and that's a burden no child should have to bear. The child that was never born. It's the 1940s, and Gary Cooper is the ultimate Hollywood heartthrob, right? And then you've got Patricia Neil, a talented actress who absolutely adores him. They start this passionate affair, and it's the kind of scandal that makes headlines everywhere. But here's the problem. Cooper was already married, which added a whole layer of drama to the situation. Now, Patricia is head over heels for him, but the reality of their secret relationship weighs heavily on her. Can you imagine being in love with someone who's not really available? It's like being trapped in a plot of a melodrama, but it's real life, and it's messy. Then things get even more intense. Patricia finds out she's pregnant, and it's like a roller coaster ride of emotions. She's excited about the possibility of a new life, but that happiness quickly turns into dread because Cooper, worried about the inevitable scandal, pressures her to terminate the pregnancy. Here's this woman, madly in love, and then faced with a heartbreaking decision that she never saw coming. It's gut-wrenching to think about how alone and devastated she must have felt during that time. After the affair fizzles out, Patricia picks herself up and continues to shine in Hollywood. She earns some serious accolades for her performances, which is great and all, but you can't shake the feeling that that chapter of her life lingers like a shadow. Even with all the success, she later reflects on how this experience haunted her. It's gut-wrenching to think that this child, innocent and unknowing, would never have the chance to laugh, cry, or grow up. There's no opportunity to experience the world, to find their place in it, or even to learn about their famous parents. They're just gone. And it's not because of anything they did, but because of the choices made by the adults around them. This situation not only left Patricia heartbroken, but also brought up feelings of loss and grief that would linger with her for years. It's like carrying an invisible scar that reminds you of what could have been. The world continued to turn, and she moved on with her life and career, but the shadow of that lost child loomed large. Nancy Sinatra. You know, growing up as Nancy Sinatra Jr. was no walk in the park. Imagine being the daughter of the legendary Frank Sinatra, but with the twist that you were born from an affair while he was still married to his first wife, Nancy Barbato. That little tidbit was like a shadow that followed her everywhere, making family life a complicated web of scandal and drama. From the moment she came into the world, there were whispers and gossip swirling around her. Being the child of an extramarital affair put her right in the crosshairs of public scrutiny. The media just wouldn't let up, painting her as part of this huge scandal that stained her father's reputation. Can you imagine that pressure? As a kid, she found herself living under the spotlight, with her father's larger-than-life persona overshadowing her own identity. She wasn't alone, though. She had two older siblings, Frank Jr. and Tina. But even with family around, Nancy often felt like the odd one out. Her relationship with her dad was complicated, too. The weight of his past choices hung heavily over their interactions. Sure, Frank Sinatra was charming and talented, but he was also a guy with a lot of baggage, and sometimes those ghosts seemed to get in the way of the love he had for his kids. As Nancy grew up, she slowly started to piece together the story of her birth and all the circumstances surrounding it. Finding out that she was the product of an affair was a real eye-opener. It wasn't just shocking, it was a heavy burden to carry. This realization changed how she saw family and belonging. While her siblings seemed to have a more straightforward relationship with their dad, Nancy struggled with feelings of alienation and confusion, and let's not even get started on how the media treated her. They constantly compared her to her dad, which only added to the stress. She wanted to carve out her own identity and pursue a music career, but the shadow of Frank Sinatra's fame was both a blessing and a curse. Some days, she felt like she could ride the coattails of his legacy, but other times it felt suffocating, like she could never escape the constant scrutiny that came with being his daughter. Her situation was even trickier because her existence was a painful reminder of Frank's infidelities. While she was trying to make her own way in the music industry, the emotional toll of being Frank Sinatra's daughter weighed heavily on her shoulders. She just wanted a narrative that wasn't tangled up in scandal, a story where she could be seen for who she was, not just as the child of her father's mistakes. As she navigated her career, Nancy faced the ongoing challenge of living with the choices her father made. Even with her successes, the complexities of her upbringing left her grappling with big questions about love, loyalty, and her own identity. Frank was a source of pride, no doubt, but the circumstances of her birth created an emotional landscape that was fraught with confusion and conflict. In the end, Nancy Sinatra Jr.'s journey really highlights the struggles of growing up in the shadow of a famous parent. Her story shows how family secrets can impact one's sense of self and the fight for identity in a world that often wants to define you by your lineage. Despite the weight of her father's legacy, she ultimately sought to forge her own path, trying to balance honoring her family history with establishing her own identity in a world that was always watching. Norman Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, the legendary silent film star famous for his character the Tramp, had quite a roller coaster ride when it came to his personal life. One of the more scandalous parts of his story is his affair with actress Lita Grey. This whole situation not only stirred up a lot of drama in Hollywood, but also had a significant impact on their son, Norman Spencer Chaplin. So, here's how it went down. Charlie was working on the film The Kid when he got involved with Lita, who was just a teenager at the time. Their romance sparked a lot of gossip, especially since Charlie was already a big deal in Hollywood and the age gap made people raise their eyebrows. It was like a classic Hollywood scandal. While plenty of actors were indulging in affairs, Charlie's choices attracted an extra layer of scrutiny because of his fame. When Lita found out she was pregnant, things got even messier. They rushed to get married in 1924, but let's just say the fairy tale didn't last long. Right from the start, their relationship was rocky. Lita later claimed she felt pressured into the marriage, which obviously didn't help the situation. Can you imagine the stress? Then came their son, Norman, born on July 7, 1928. While everyone was excited to welcome the child of such a famous couple, the tension in the family was palpable. Being born into a scandal like this would be hard for any kid. On one hand, you have the thrill of being the child of a superstar, but on the other, you're surrounded by chaos and drama. As the years went on, things really fell apart. Charlie and Lita's marriage turned into a public battleground, with all the juicy details of their fights making headlines. Lita accused Charlie of neglecting his family in favor of his career, which added to the public drama. For Norman, that must have been tough. He was right in the middle of all this conflict, and the media attention was unrelenting. Growing up as Charlie Chaplin's son meant living in a spotlight that could be hard to bear. People were constantly comparing him to his famous father, and the scandal surrounding his parents was always lurking in the background. It's like Norman had to carry the weight of not just being Chaplin's kid, but also dealing with the fallout from a marriage that was anything but smooth. In the end, Norman Spencer Chaplin's story highlights the challenges of growing up in a world filled with fame and scandal. While his father was a beloved figure in film history, the chaotic nature of his family life created a complicated legacy for Norman. He had to navigate the complexities of identity and self-worth, all while trying to make sense of the drama that surrounded his family. It's a reminder that behind the glitz and glamour, there are real stories of struggle and resilience. Katie Wagner. The story of Robert Wagner and his daughter Katie Wagner is quite the fascinating one. So, Robert Wagner, the charming actor known for his roles in classic films and hit TV shows, had a brief relationship with actress Marion Marshall, and from that romance came Katie. Now imagine being born into this whirlwind of Hollywood drama. Katie's birth came with its fair share of complications. Robert was a rising star, and Marion was no slouch either, but the relationship was short-lived. They weren't together for long, and soon after, Wagner went on to marry the stunning Natalie Wood, which added a whole new layer of complexity to Katie's life. Growing up, Katie found herself navigating this chaotic family landscape. It must have been tough, with her father's high-profile marriage to Natalie Wood, who was one of the biggest stars of the era. Katie was often caught in the crossfire of public attention. You can only imagine the pressure of living up to that legacy. Katie often felt like she was trying to carve out her own identity while living in the shadow of her father's fame and the incredible talent of her stepmother. Every time someone brought up her father, they would also mention Natalie, which had to be both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it meant she had a famous father, but on the other, it meant she was constantly compared to two larger-than-life figures. It was like trying to find her own voice in a chorus of celebrity. And let's be honest, Hollywood can be a tough place to grow up, especially when you're the daughter of someone like Robert Wagner. It's not just about being the child of a famous actor. It's about dealing with the intricacies of family relationships that come with that fame. Katie's experience highlights the complexities many children of stars face. Even though Robert Wagner loved her and wanted the best for her, the dynamics of his relationships and the scrutiny from the media must have been challenging for her. It's a classic tale of trying to navigate a path when everyone else seems to have their eyes on your family drama, making it difficult to define who you are outside of that narrative. Ultimately, Katie Wagner's story is a reminder of the challenges that come with having a famous parent. It's a delicate dance of trying to embrace that legacy while also striving to stand out on her own terms.
Jonathan Berkeley. Some know Tom Jones as that respected judge on The Voice UK with a seasoned voice, while others know him by his accomplishments in the industry. The Welsh singer is no doubt one of the most phenomenal singers Hollywood has ever produced. With a career that has spanned decades, the singer was known to have a string of top 10 hits in the 1960s and has successfully sold over 100 million records over the years. While his accomplishments are undoubtedly impressive, there is a side of Tom Jones's life that most people find daunting. Beyond the fame and his many accomplishments as a singer, Jones spent most of his early years in Hollywood doing things that a married man should not be seen doing. His many affairs with several women left his wife broken-hearted, and one of the affairs resulted in a son, Jonathan Berkeley. Tom Jones married high school love Linda Trenchard in the 1950s, before his career took off. Although they were madly in love with each other, nothing prepared them for the challenges that would unfold in their marriage. The first few years of their marriage seemed normal until Jones became a successful singer, and the rumors about his infidelity began to circulate. Interestingly, Tom Jones didn't deny the rumors, as he claimed to have had affairs with over 250 women in a single year when his career was at its peak. It seems like his fame came with a lot of attention from women, and he was unable to control himself. The singer even had affairs with famous American women, some of whom he named later on in life. His deeds left his wife devastated, and soon enough, he got into an affair that came with consequences. While the singer was on tour in the U.S., he began an affair with a model named Catherine Berkeley. He probably thought it was going to be like one of his numerous affairs, but soon enough, Catherine Berkeley got pregnant. When he was informed about the pregnancy, he denied it, claiming that he didn't get her pregnant. Despite his refusal to take responsibility, Catherine was convinced that he was the father of her child. Tom Jones continued to ignore her as he believed that she was lying against him. Catherine Berkeley would later take the matter to court, and after a legal battle, Tom Jones was ordered to take a DNA test in 1989. After the test, the court ruled that Jones was the father of the boy. The court also ordered him to pay child support of $3,000 a month for the child's upkeep. But despite the court's verdict, Jones continued to deny the boy until 2008, when he finally admitted that he was the father of the boy. However, he said that he was coerced into the affair, claiming that Catherine Berkeley deceived him. In a later interview, he said, "It wasn't something I had planned. I was tricked, really. I just fell for it. I just fell for the seduction." It is said that he doesn't have a parental relationship with his son, who is now in his 30s. Eric Preminger, A Vow of Silence. Back in the 1940s, Gypsy Rose Lee was a name that was known all over Hollywood for many reasons. One of these reasons was the fact that she had an affair with a famous producer, which led to the birth of a love child named Eric. But before her life got complicated, she was a young woman who liked to live life on the edge. Gypsy wasn't just an actress and playwright. She had gone ahead to carve her own path through her famous striptease act. Gypsy considered herself to be an exotic stripper, and she usually found ways to make her act more interesting. She was also famous for her on-stage wit and stripping style. She would go on to become one of the most famous stars of Minsky's burlesque, but dancing was not all she did. In the 1930s, she was focused on growing her acting career, but only got to appear in 5 films. Although she was highly ambitious, she didn't get much success on screen, so she decided to relocate to New York City with plans to hone her skills and hopefully improve her career. On getting there, she got into an affair with the then-famous producer Mike Todd. It was said that Mike Todd was married to Bertha Freshman at the time. The affair would later lead to collaboration, as the pair co-produced the 1942 musical revue, Star and Garter. It was during this period that she met Williams Alexander Kirkland. Kirkland was a leading man in Hollywood, particularly during the early sound era. In the early years of his career, he worked as a freelance writer and was said to be one of the writers who contributed to some popular national magazines. He garnered most of his fame through his acting career, appearing as a leading in Tarnished Lady and entertaining his audiences through movies like Social Register. He was still making waves as an actor when he met Gypsy. The pair got married in 1942, but their union didn't last long. While Gypsy was married to Kirkland, she got into an affair with the then famous film producer, Otto Preminger. It was said that Otto Preminger's marriage to his wife Marion was shaky at the time. He was still married, but living like a bachelor. When he and Gypsy got into an affair, they intended to keep it a secret, but their affair didn't stay hidden for long. When Gypsy got pregnant, she knew she had to find a way to hide what she had done so that her husband would not find out. So, when Otto Preminger offered to take care of the child, she refused. His silence was far more valuable to her than any amount of money he was offering, so she elicited a vow of silence, pleading with Preminger to keep the secret between them. When she gave birth to the child, she named him Eric Kirkland, and her husband believed he was the father of the child. However, the truth eventually came out, and this led to the end of her marriage to Kirkland. Damien Charles Hurley. In the early 1980s, 18-year-old Steve Bing was given an inheritance that automatically made him wealthier than most celebrities at the time. He inherited over $600 million from his grandfather, who was a real estate developer, and went on to become one of the most successful film producers in Hollywood in the following years. But despite all the wealth he amassed, he rejected a son that he fathered with an actress, claiming that he was not the father of the child. Although he was wealthy, Bing was the kind of man who only channeled his resources to ventures and things that he considered important or profitable, and when it came to his personal life, many people questioned his personal choices. In the entertainment industry, he made waves through his company, Shangri-La Entertainment. He is also said to have invested in the successful animated film called The Polar Express. Bing also produced films like Last Man Standing, and it was clear that made smart investment choices in the industry. However, when he was not being a financier or working as a producer in the industry, he was settling his personal issues. Of all the scandals that circulated about the producer, denying the paternity of his child was the most shocking. In 2001, the producer got into a relationship with actress Elizabeth Hurley, and this relationship led to her getting pregnant. From every indication, Bing wanted nothing to do with the child, so he told Elizabeth to terminate the pregnancy. The actress refused and decided to keep the baby, hoping that Bing would come around. When the baby was born, Bing denied paternity, claiming that he and Elizabeth had an 18-month-long relationship that was not exclusive. He believed that she was not faithful to him while they were dating, so he doubted that the child was his. Elizabeth was sure that Bing was the father of her child, so she decided to do a DNA test to prove that he was the father of her son, Damien Charles Hurley. Interestingly, the test proved that Bing was indeed the father of the child, and this was when the producer decided to pay child support. He offered to pay 100,000 euros every year till the child turned 18 years old. But to his greatest surprise, Elizabeth refused his offer. She claimed that her and her son were doing just fine and that they didn't need his money. She also revealed that she was deeply hurt by the fact that Bing claimed that she had other lovers while they were dating. She also expressed the fact that Damien, her son, was her greatest blessing and that he made her life brighter and more beautiful. When asked the reason why she turned down the offer, she said, "I have always made it perfectly clear to Stephen Bing, the father of my son Damien, that I don't want any financial help from him whatsoever." Ruth Clapton, a blessing in disguise. It all started when Eric Clapton fell madly in love with his best friend's wife. This forbidden love would lead to several events that nobody saw coming. Known as one of the most phenomenal guitarists in rock music, Eric Clapton played in some local bands before forming his own rock and roll band with drummer Ginger Baker. He later released several successful albums and songs in the 1970s, and while all these were happening, he found himself falling for his best friend's wife. Eric Clapton and George Harrison got close in the 60s, and their bond grew every day. The duo spent a lot of time together, writing and recording music. Little did George know that a betrayal was lurking in the background. As time went on, Eric fell deeply in love with his best friend's wife, Pattie Boyd. Interestingly, it was said that he didn't hide how he felt, and he made it clear that he wanted her to himself. In the mid-1970s, it was said that Pattie Boyd divorced her husband and married Eric Clapton. Although this seemed like a dream come true for Eric Clapton, he soon began to do things that didn't reflect how much he claimed to love Pattie Boyd. In the course of their marriage, Clapton's alcohol addiction got the best of him, and he became a shadow of himself. As a result of this, he treated Pattie badly and was said to have been involved in multiple affairs. Sadly, while he was doing all this, he and Patty were struggling to have children. Despite trying IVF, all their efforts were unsuccessful, and Patty had several miscarriages. In the early 1980s, Clapton would begin yet another affair, but this time, it led to a pregnancy. The affair began when he was recording Behind the Sun. He met and began a relationship with a lady named Yvonne Kelly, who was the manager of a studio at the time. Shortly after, she got pregnant and had their daughter, Ruth Clapton, in 1985. Because they were both married at the time, they had to keep it a secret from their respective spouses. Patty Boyd later found out and she was utterly devastated, but despite the damage this did to their union, Clapton didn't stop. He went on to have yet another affair with an Italian model named Lori Del Santo. This affair also led to the birth of yet another love child named Connor. Patty Boyd would later reveal how she felt when she found out about the affair and the child. She claimed that Clapton expected a different reaction from her. In her words, "Because he loved me, he believed I would be pleased and happy for him that he had a baby. It was as if I was his best friend that he could tell me everything without realizing how deeply painful this was for me." The couple later went their separate ways, and Clapton is said to have maintained a good relationship with his children. Sadly, Connor passed away when he was only 4 years old. Abby Jason, a 52-year-old secret. Many people know Sir David Jason for his portrayal of the unforgettable Derek Del Boy Trotter in the British sitcom Only Fools and Horses, but very few people know about his personal life and the fact that he recently discovered that he fathered a child from a previous relationship. The actor's career has been undoubtedly phenomenal, and he has made a mark in Hollywood through his roles in several films and series. However, Sir David's journey to fame and recognition was not without its surprises, particularly in matters of family. Amidst his illustrious career, which began to take shape in the 1970s, Sir David found himself entwined in a brief but significant relationship with actress Jennifer Hill. Little did he know that this brief relationship would lead to the birth of his child. During this time, as Sir David was still forging his path in the entertainment industry, his personal life intersected with unexpected twists and turns. One such twist came in the form of a love child, Abby Harris, born in 1970 as a result of his relationship with Jennifer Hill. It was said that the actress, Jennifer Hill, didn't tell Sir David that he was the father of the child. He moved on with his life and got into several other relationships. For over 5 decades, the existence of Abby remained a hidden chapter in Sir David's life, unknown to him and his family. It wasn't until the year 2022, a staggering 52 years later, that the truth finally came to light. The revelation of Abby's existence came as a profound shock to Sir David, a moment he described as an understatement to capture the sheer magnitude of the surprise. However, in this unexpected revelation, Sir David and his family responded with grace and warmth. Embracing Abby and her son Charlie, they welcomed them into their lives with open arms, bridging the length of years that had separated them. The joy of newfound connection outweighed any sense of disbelief or astonishment as Sir David expressed his heartfelt sentiments to the Mirror. Before this revelation, Sir David had already experienced the joys of fatherhood in 2001, when his girlfriend Gil Hinchcliffe gave birth to their daughter. Their relationship blossomed further, culminating in marriage in 2005, and they settled in Ellsborough, Buckinghamshire, building a life together. Wyatt Russell, love without bounds. If there is one Hollywood actor who has always been unapologetic about his views and beliefs, it's Kurt Russell. This is why he saw nothing wrong with having a child with his then-girlfriend, Goldie Hawn. Back then, society frowned upon having children out of wedlock, and the fact that Kurt and his girlfriend were both in the limelight at the time got people talking about their private life. Their love story began after Kurt's divorce from Susan Hubley in 1983. Kurt, having starred alongside Goldie in movies like Swing Shift and Overboard, found a deep connection with the actress that went beyond professional chemistry. Their relationship blossomed over the years, despite never walking down the aisle. Kurt and Goldie's relationship was rock solid. In the mid-1980s, their lives changed when Goldie found out that she was pregnant. This new addition changed their lives forever, and their son, Wyatt Russell, was born on July 10, 1986. Despite being born out of wedlock, Wyatt was welcomed into a loving family that transcended traditional norms. Kurt and Goldie's decision not to marry was a conscious one. In a candid interview with People magazine in December 2020, Kurt expressed that they never felt the need for a marriage certificate to validate their relationship. He eloquently stated that a piece of paper wouldn't create anything they didn't already have. As someone who was married before, he believed that he didn't need to get a piece of paper to solidify what he had with Han. He believed that what they shared was strong and worth fighting for. Their unconventional yet enduring love story has stood the test of time, as they both worked on growing their careers. Their commitment to each other and their family goes beyond societal expectations, proving that love knows no bounds, not even the bounds of marriage. Interestingly, their son Kurt is following their footsteps and building his career as an actor. Wyatt Russell, born into a family that defied conventional norms, has charted his own unique path in Hollywood, paralleling the non-traditional approach his parents took. From his early days, Wyatt was immersed in an environment that valued personal choice and creative freedom over societal expectations. Initially pursuing a career in hockey, Wyatt played professionally in Europe and North America until injuries led him to retire from the sport. This shift in career paths opened a new door for Wyatt into the acting world, a domain both his parents had excelled in. As an actor, Wyatt Russell has brought a distinct presence to the screen, characterized by an authenticity and charisma that seemed to echo his upbringing. His transition from sports to acting wasn't just a change in profession, but a continuation of the storytelling legacy of his family. Wyatt's roles, such as his portrayal of John Walker in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, showcase his ability to navigate complex characters, often imbuing them with a nuanced vulnerability. His performance in this series was particularly lauded for adding depth to a controversial character, reflecting Wyatt's skill in embracing and interpreting challenging roles. This ability to connect with diverse roles speaks to his upbringing in a family that embraced differences and encouraged expression beyond traditional frameworks. Dina Norris, her father's love. Chuck Norris, the well-known actor and screenwriter, grew his career to a point where he became well-respected. However, along the line, he cheated on his wife and fathered a daughter, but he didn't know about his love child until she wrote him a letter in 1991. But before we get into the full story about the affair, let's go back to the very beginning. When Chuck Connors was in high school, he fell in love with his schoolmate, Diane. The pair would later get married when Chuck was 18 years old. Chuck spent the following years building his career until he and his wife welcomed their first son, Mike, in 1962. It seemed like their marriage was thriving, but Chuck's wife had no idea that her husband would cheat on her the following year. Around that time, the actor worked as a martial artist, training several celebrities in Hollywood. He also went on to appear in several films like An Eye for an Eye and Missing in Action. He became famous in the action film genre and garnered a lot of fame as a result of his performances. However, after several years of building a successful career, a secret that he had kept hidden for several years resurfaced. In the early 1960s, while stationed in California with the U.S. Air Force, he got into an affair with a woman named Johanna. It was later revealed that he never told the woman he was married, and by the time she found out, it was too late. Their affair later came to an end, but Chuck had no idea that this chapter of his life was far from being closed. Johanna got pregnant for him and had the baby, but she didn't tell him about the child until he found out years later. In the early 1990s, Chuck was going about his life when he got a shocking letter from a young woman claiming to be his daughter. Despite her mother's persistent warning not to reach out to Chuck, she desperately wanted to have a relationship with her father, so she decided to reach out. Interestingly, Chuck instantly believed her and arranged to meet with her and her mother. Chuck would later reveal that he didn't need a DNA test to confirm that she was his. He embraced her, and they both wept. In his words, "I didn't need DNA or blood tests." He revealed that in that moment, he felt like he had known her all his life. Since then, he has been an active part of her life and has continued to build the bond between them. It is clear that the actor loves his daughter and is now making up for lost time. Beneath the shimmering surface of Hollywood's golden age, a labyrinth of secrets and scandals lay hidden. Among the glittering stars and cinematic masterpieces, the private lives of Tinseltown's finest were often shrouded in mystery and intrigue. But sometimes the veil would slip, revealing tales so unexpected and controversial, they seemed ripped from the pages of a screenplay. Take, for instance, the luminous Ava Gardner, whose tumultuous love affair with Frank Sinatra captivated the public. Or the legendary Spencer Tracy, whose off-screen life was as complex and compelling as his on-screen performances. These were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger narrative, a tapestry woven with hidden liaisons, secret children, and forbidden love. In this video, we peel back the curtain on Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets, the children born out of the spotlight, away from the prying eyes of the press, and the public. From the whispered rumors of clandestine pregnancies to the undeniable truths that emerged years later, these stories reveal a different side of the stars we thought we knew. We'll explore the lives of those who grew up in the shadows of fame, their existences marked by a legacy they had no part in choosing. These are not just tales of scandal and sensation, but of real people searching for identity and belonging in the aftermath of decisions made long before their time. The early days of Hollywood. In the nascent days of Hollywood, a burgeoning film industry began to cast its first shadows on the silver screen, giving rise to a new breed of American royalty, the movie star. This era, marked by the silent film age and the transition to talkies, was a time of innovation, glamour, and boundless possibilities. Yet, beneath its glittering surface, the personal lives of its stars were often mired in complexity and secrecy, particularly when it came to matters of the heart and family. One of the most emblematic figures of this era was Clara Bo, known as the It Girl, who embodied the carefree, vivacious spirit of the Roaring Twenties. Bo's on-screen persona captivated millions, but her off-screen life was fraught with challenges, not least of which were the rumors that swirled around her personal relationships and the children she was rumored to have had out of wedlock. While no concrete evidence exists to confirm these children, the speculation around Bo's private life underscores the intense scrutiny and moral policing faced by female stars of the time. The early Hollywood studio system, with its rigid control over actors' images and personal lives, played a significant role in shaping the narrative around its stars. Studios went to great lengths to craft public personas for their actors that aligned with the moral standards of the day, often at the expense of the stars' true selves. This led to a culture of secrecy and double lives, where stars like Bo were forced to navigate their personal affairs in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the press and moral watchdogs. The case of Bo is not isolated. Other stars of the era, such as Louise Brooks and Alma Rubens, faced similar challenges. Brooks, known for her iconic role in Pandora's Box, and Rubens, a silent film actress whose career was marred by addiction, both had rumored affairs and children out of wedlock. These stories, often buried beneath layers of studio-manufactured publicity, reveal a pattern of hidden relationships and the lengths to which stars went to maintain their public image. The societal norms of the early 20th century, which stigmatized children born outside of marriage, added another layer of complexity to these situations. The children of these liaisons, if they existed, were often raised in secrecy or given up for adoption, their paternity shrouded in mystery. This practice was not limited to Hollywood, but was reflective of broader societal attitudes towards illegitimacy and the sanctity of the traditional family unit. The impact of these hidden relationships and their resulting offspring rippled through the lives of those involved. For the stars, it meant a constant balancing act between their public personas and private realities, often leading to personal turmoil and, in some cases, the end of careers. For the children, it meant growing up with a secret legacy, their identities shaped by the circumstances of their birth and the societal stigma attached to it. The studio system's secrets. In the golden age of Hollywood, the studio system wielded unparalleled influence over the careers and personal lives of its stars. This era, characterized by its tight control over the public images of actors, also bore witness to one of the most poignant and carefully concealed stories of illicit love and hidden lineage, the story of Loretta Young, Clark Gable, and their daughter, Judy Lewis. Loretta Young, an actress of ethereal beauty and profound talent, was a prominent figure in Hollywood's studio system. Her career spanned from silent films through the golden age of cinema, earning her critical acclaim and a devout following. Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, was the epitome of masculine charm and one of the era's most bankable stars. Their paths crossed professionally on the set of The Call of the Wild in 1935, leading to an affair that would become one of Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets. The affair resulted in Young's pregnancy, a situation fraught with potential scandal that could have ended both actors' careers. In an era when the moral clauses in studio contracts dictated the personal lives of Hollywood stars, Young's pregnancy was a ticking time bomb. With meticulous planning and the complicity of a few trusted individuals, Young disappeared from the public eye, citing illness, while she was, in fact, pregnant.
Judy Lewis was born on November 6, 1935, in Venice, California. To protect her and Gable's careers and maintain her public image, Young placed Judy in an orphanage, only to adopt her months later in a well-orchestrated move designed to avoid scandal. This act of subterfuge was a testament to the lengths stars had to go to preserve their standing in the unforgiving Hollywood landscape. Judy grew up unaware of her true parentage, although rumors and whispers followed her throughout her childhood and adolescence. The resemblance to Gable was undeniable, with her ears being a particularly telling feature, leading Young to have Judy undergo surgery to make them less prominent. Despite these measures, the truth about Judy's father remained an open secret in Hollywood, known by many but publicly acknowledged by none. The relationship between Young and her daughter was complex and fraught with unspoken truths. It wasn't until Judy was an adult that Young confirmed her father's identity, a revelation that reshaped Judy's understanding of her own identity and her place in the world. The impact of this secret on Lewis was profound, affecting her sense of self and her relationships with both her mother and the father she never knew. Love affairs in the spotlight. The story of Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rosolini is a tale of passion, art, and scandal that shook the foundations of Hollywood's golden age and challenged the moral compass of the era. Bergman, a Swedish actress renowned for her luminous beauty and profound talent, had captivated American audiences with her performances in films such as Casablanca and Gaslight, for which she won her first Academy Award. Rosolini, an Italian film director, was a leading figure in the neorealism movement, known for his raw and authentic portrayal of post-war Italy. Their union was not just a merging of two cinematic worlds, but also a love affair that defied conventions and sparked international controversy. Their story began in the late 1940s when Bergman, then married to Dr. Petter Lindstrom, wrote a letter to Rosolini expressing her admiration for his work and her desire to make a film with him. This correspondence led to Bergman's starring role in Stromboli, 1950, directed by Rosolini. During the production of the film, their professional relationship blossomed into a romantic affair, a development that would have profound personal and professional repercussions. The affair became public knowledge when Bergman became pregnant with Rosolini's child. In an era when Hollywood's moral code was strictly enforced and the personal lives of its stars were subject to public scrutiny, the revelation of their relationship was scandalous. Bergman, who had been revered as a symbol of grace and virtue, was now vilified in the press, condemned by the public, and even denounced on the floor of the United States Senate for immoral conduct. The birth of their son, Renato Roberto Giusto Giuseppe Rosolini, in 1950, and later the twins Isabella and Ingrid Rosolini, only intensified the scandal. Bergman's marriage to Lindstrom ended in divorce, and she married Rosolini in 1950. However, the damage to her public image was significant. Bergman was forced to leave Hollywood and would not return to the American screen for several years. The relationship between Bergman and Rosolini and the birth of their children marked a significant moment in Hollywood history. It challenged the industry's and society's expectations of female stars, highlighting the double standards applied to women's personal and professional lives. Bergman's career, although temporarily derailed, eventually recovered. She went on to win 2 more Academy Awards, proving that talent could overcome scandal. The children of Bergman and Rosolini grew up in the shadow of this controversy, but carved out their own paths. Isabella Rossellini became a successful actress and model, while Ingrid Rossellini pursued a career in academia. Renato Rossellini, though less in the public eye, also made his mark away from the glare of the scandal that had surrounded his birth. The rock and roll era. The affair between Eddie Fisher and Elizabeth Taylor is one of Hollywood's most notorious scandals, emblematic of the changing social mores and the increasing scrutiny of celebrity personal lives in the post-war era. Fisher, a popular singer, and Taylor, a film star of unparalleled beauty and talent, found themselves at the center of a media storm that would have lasting repercussions on their careers and personal lives, particularly impacting Fisher's family with Debbie Reynolds. Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds were America's sweethearts, their marriage seemingly a fairy tale union of 2 beloved entertainers. They had 2 children, Carrie and Todd Fisher, completing the picture of domestic bliss. However, the stability of their marriage was shattered by Fisher's affair with Elizabeth Taylor, who was then the widow of Fisher's best friend, Mike Todd.
The affair not only ended Fisher's marriage to Reynolds, but also ignited a public scandal that dominated headlines and captivated the American public. The impact of the affair on Fisher's children with Reynolds was profound and multifaceted. Carrie Fisher, who would later achieve fame as an actress, writer, and Hollywood icon in her own right, spoke openly about the pain and confusion the scandal caused her as a child. The very public nature of her parents' divorce and her father's subsequent marriage to Taylor placed Carrie and her brother Todd in an unwelcome spotlight, subjecting them to public scrutiny and media speculation at a young age. The affair and its fallout marked a significant moment in the evolution of celebrity culture. It highlighted the growing power of the media to shape public perceptions of stars and underscored the vulnerability of celebrity marriages to public and press intrusion. Fisher's career suffered in the aftermath of the scandal, with his public image tarnished by his role in the breakup of his marriage to Reynolds. Taylor, on the other hand, continued to thrive professionally, her career seemingly impervious to the scandal, though she faced public censure for her role in the affair. The relationship between Fisher and Taylor was short-lived, ending in divorce in 1964. However, the legacy of their affair lingered, affecting the personal dynamics within their blended family for years to come. Carrie Fisher's relationship with her father was strained, a theme she would explore in her writing and interviews, offering insight into the complex nature of familial bonds in the aftermath of public scandal. The Golden Age's hidden stories. Spencer Tracy's career spanned over 3 decades, during which he became one of Hollywood's most respected actors. His on-screen chemistry with Katharine Hepburn, with whom he made 9 films, is legendary. Off-screen, Tracy's life was intensely private, marked by struggles with alcoholism and a complex relationship with Hepburn that was both a profound partnership and a source of endless speculation. Tracy was married to Louise Treadwell, and together they had 2 children, John and Susie. However, his relationship with Hepburn, which began after his marriage, was an open secret in Hollywood. Despite never divorcing Treadwell, Tracy and Hepburn maintained a relationship until his death in 1967. The nature of their relationship, conducted away from the public eye, has been the subject of much discussion, with many admirers and biographers noting the depth of their connection and the sacrifices both made to maintain it. Regarding the speculation surrounding Tracy's private life and the possibility of children born out of wedlock, it's crucial to approach this topic with caution. Unlike other Hollywood figures whose personal lives became public through revelations or acknowledgments, Tracy's story remains shrouded in the privacy he so fiercely protected. There are no confirmed accounts of children born outside his marriage to Treadwell, and much of what is speculated comes from a place of rumor rather than documented fact. The culture of Hollywood's golden age played a significant role in shaping the narratives around its stars. The studio system, with its emphasis on controlling the public images of its actors, often led to a dissonance between the public personas and private lives of its biggest names. Tracy, like many of his contemporaries, navigated this divide, maintaining a level of privacy that has left many aspects of his life open to interpretation and speculation. Scandals behind the silver screen. Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra's relationship was the stuff of Hollywood legend, a union that combined beauty, talent, and tumult in equal measure. Gardner, known for her stunning looks and formidable acting prowess, and Sinatra, a singer of unparalleled talent whose career was experiencing a downturn when they first became involved, were both massive stars in their own right. Their relationship began in the late 1940s and quickly became one of the most talked-about romances of the era. The pressures facing stars of Hollywood's golden age were immense. The studio system exerted significant control over actors' careers and personal lives, often dictating not just the roles they played, but whom they were seen with and how they conducted their private affairs. For Gardner and Sinatra, this meant their relationship was subject to intense scrutiny, not just from studio heads, but from the public and the press. Rumors of a pregnancy emerged at a time when both Gardner and Sinatra were under considerable public attention. Gardner's marriage to Sinatra, her third and his second, was marked by passionate highs and devastating lows, with both parties' careers and personal demons often clashing. The rumored pregnancy has been a point of speculation for biographers and fans alike, seen as a potential turning point in their tumultuous relationship. However, Without concrete evidence or confirmation from Gardner or Sinatra themselves, the story remains part of the larger narrative of their storied romance. The impact of such speculation on Gardner in particular highlights the double standards and gendered expectations placed on women in Hollywood. While male stars often faced less criticism for their romantic entanglements, women were scrutinized and judged more harshly. Gardner, already known for her independent spirit and resistance to the studio system's attempts to control her, would have been acutely aware of the potential fallout from any confirmation of a pregnancy outside of marriage, even within the context of her marriage to Sinatra. Their relationship and the rumored pregnancy must be understood within the context of the time. The early 1950s were a period of transition in Hollywood, with the studio system beginning to decline and the rise of tabloid journalism. The personal lives of stars became fodder for public consumption in a way that had not been seen before, with Gardner and Sinatra among the first to experience the full force of this new celebrity culture. Love, secrecy, and legacy. Leslie Howard's contribution to the golden age of cinema is undeniable. His performances, characterized by a blend of charisma and elegance, left an indelible mark on Hollywood and the international film community. However, Howard's life off-screen was as compelling as his on-screen personas, marked by his involvement in the political and social upheavals of his time, including rumored activities in espionage during World War II. His untimely death in 1943, when the plane he was traveling in was shot down by German forces, added a layer of intrigue and tragedy to his legacy. Ronald Howard, born in 1918, was Leslie Howard's only son with his wife, Ruth Evelyn Martin. Growing up as the son of one of the era's most celebrated actors, Ronald faced the immense challenge of forging his path in the shadow of a towering figure. The expectations set by Leslie Howard's success and the public's fascination with his life and mysterious death were formidable pressures for Ronald. Ronald Howard pursued an acting career, appearing in numerous films and television shows from the 1940s through the 1970s. Perhaps his most notable role was as Sherlock Holmes in the 1954 television series Sherlock Holmes, where he brought the iconic detective to life with a performance that echoed the charm and intelligence his father was known for. Despite this and other successes, Ronald's career did not reach the same heights as his father's, a fact that highlights the difficulties of living up to a legendary legacy. The challenges Ronald faced were not just professional, but personal. Growing up in the aftermath of his father's death, with the accompanying speculation and intrigue surrounding Leslie Howard's wartime activities, Ronald had to navigate a world that was forever changed by loss. The public's enduring interest in Leslie Howard meant that Ronald's achievements were often viewed through the lens of his father's legacy, a comparison that can overshadow individual accomplishments. The new Hollywood movement. Arnold Schwarzenegger's journey from Mr. Universe to Hollywood megastar and then to the governor of California is a tale of ambition, discipline, and unparalleled public success. However, in 2011, a personal revelation emerged that presented a starkly different narrative, one that highlighted the vulnerabilities even the most controlled public figures face. The disclosure of Schwarzenegger's paternity of Joseph Baena, born to the family's housekeeper, Mildred Patricia "Patty" Baena, was a moment of profound personal and public reckoning for Schwarzenegger. The revelation came at a time when Schwarzenegger's public image was that of a successful action hero, a dedicated public servant, and a family man. Married to Maria Shriver, a journalist and member of the Kennedy family, Schwarzenegger's personal life was as much a part of his public persona as his professional achievements. The news of his affair and the existence of a son born out of wedlock was a jarring departure from the narrative that had been carefully curated over decades. Joseph Baena's birth in 1997 and the subsequent revelation of his paternity more than a decade later brought to light the complex realities behind Schwarzenegger's public facade. The affair and the secrecy surrounding Joseph's paternity caused a significant media storm, leading to Schwarzenegger and Shriver's separation. This personal crisis unfolded in the public eye, offering a glimpse into the challenges faced by those living under the scrutiny of public attention. For Joseph Baena, the revelation of his paternity was a life-altering moment. Growing up, Baena's resemblance to Schwarzenegger was noticeable, yet the truth of his lineage was not publicly acknowledged until Schwarzenegger's term as governor was coming to an end. The public disclosure thrust Baena into the spotlight, a position that comes with its own set of challenges and opportunities. Despite the initial controversy, Schwarzenegger took responsibility for his actions and has since been an active part of Baena's life. Baena has navigated his path with a notable grace, pursuing his education and showing a keen interest in bodybuilding, echoing his father's own beginnings. His relationship with Schwarzenegger has grown stronger over the years, with the two often seen sharing moments of their lives on social media, from gym workouts to celebrating graduations. While Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's father, was busy disciplining his children and trying to make stars out of them, he had a little girl that no one knew about. His priority was to do everything in his power to spoil her rotten and keep her existence a secret. In the 60s, Joe Jackson became well known for his efforts to push his children in the direction of music. He desperately wanted his children to become famous and established musicians, and he was willing to do everything in his power to make this dream come to life. Seeing himself as their talent manager, Joe Jackson treated his children like they were his clients, forcing them to engage in long and intense rehearsals and forcing them to call him by his first name. While his efforts to make his kids successful in the industry were absolutely normal, as any parent would want their child to succeed, it was later revealed that he sometimes used harsh methods to get his kids in line. In a 1993 interview, Michael Jackson said his father subjected them to all kinds of physical punishments. He said he and his siblings grew up feeling lonely and distant from their father. It seemed like all he was concerned about was them becoming stars. While all this was happening, Michael Jackson, his mother, and siblings had no idea that Joe Jackson had another family somewhere else. In the early 70s, Joe Jackson met a beautiful secretary called Cheryl Terrell, and this single meeting led to a 25-year affair and a love child, Giovanni Jackson. Cheryl was in her 20s when she met Joe Jackson. At the time, she worked as a secretary for the police department in Los Angeles. On one fateful day, Joe Jackson was invited to LAPD's Christmas party, and that was where she met him. During the party, a friend of hers introduced her to Joe Jackson, but she had no idea who he was. She had never heard of him before. When they got talking, Joe Jackson showed her his charming and romantic side. He bought her gifts often, and soon enough, Joe's smooth talking and romantic gestures got to Cheryl. Her daughter would later reveal that Cheryl wasn't sure she liked Joe Jackson. She just decided to give the relationship a try. As expected, the 20-year age gap between them was very unsettling, especially for her family. Joe Jackson was the same age as Cheryl's mother, not to mention the fact that he was married at the time to Katherine Jackson. But despite all these, Joe Jackson was relentless. He did all that he could to keep Cheryl by his side. In a later interview, Giovanni revealed that her mother was not an obsessed fan like people thought she was. Joe Jackson was the one who did all the chasing. In Giovanni's words, "My mother is an attractive lady, and he saw her and had to have her. He did all the chasing. Daddy had to keep up with my mother. She was very independent, and he liked that." The affair between Joe Jackson and Cheryl led to her getting pregnant, and when this happened, he decided to stay by her side and take care of their child. However, he had to do this discreetly so that his wife and kids wouldn't find out that he had a second family. It was later revealed that he had an entirely different life away from the spotlight with his mistress and daughter in a house that was about 5 miles from his marital home in Encino, California. He would visit them often, take them on vacations, and lavish his daughter with gifts. All the while, he lied to his wife that he was traveling for business meetings. How he managed to keep this a secret for so long is still a mystery. His daughter explained that Joe Jackson always warned her not to tell anyone about her life. She rarely has friends, and he did everything he could to hide her and her mother from prying eyes. Her entire life was hush-hush. There were places she could not visit in her neighborhood, grocery stores they could never shop at, secrets she could never reveal. Joe Jackson lived with a permanent fear of being caught. He knew that if a reporter or a loved one saw him, his secret would be out in the open. As a result of this, she didn't exactly have a normal childhood, but Joe Jackson made sure he showered her with love. In her words, "He was very much a presence in my life. I was a daddy's girl. I would be so excited. He would bring me presents, my favorite black walnut ice cream. I was spoiled rotten." Decades later, the news about her existence got out. It was certainly a hard pill to swallow, but as time went by, the Jackson family accepted her. Joe Jackson's wife, who was painfully hurt about the affair, and the love child ended up forgiving her husband and taking him back. Giovanni wrote a book titled Bastard Child, detailing her true story and what being raised by Joe Jackson was like. Ronan Farrow, Frank Sinatra's look-alike. Have you ever come across a picture of Ronan Farrow, Mia Farrow's son? You know, the one with the piercing blue eyes that happens to have a striking resemblance to the very famous singer and actor Frank Sinatra? Over the years, the 36-year-old journalist has made a name for himself through his works, and he is even known as one of the journalists who passionately did the investigative reporting on allegations of sexual abuse against the movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. His reports would later be published in the New York Magazine. Now, while this young man is clearly passionate about what he does for a living, the suspicions about his alleged paternity have haunted him for the most part of his life. Although he grew up knowing without a shadow of doubt that Woody Allen was his father, the resemblance between him and the legendary singer Frank Sinatra cannot be ignored. The interesting part about this story is that his mother, Mia Farrow, was married to Frank Sinatra several years before she had Ronan. Some people believe that even after their divorce, she kept on having an affair with Frank Sinatra, which resulted in the birth of Ronan in 1987. Some statements she has made have also fueled the suspicions that people have about Ronan's alleged father. In 2013, while speaking to Vanity Fair, Mia Farrow said that she and Frank Sinatra never really split up. This revelation got people wondering whether she kept on having a long affair with Sinatra even after their divorce. The pair met initially on the 20th Century lot in the mid-1960s, and it was like love at first sight. However, Mia Farrow was only 19 years old at the time, and Frank Sinatra was already in his 50s. As expected, their 31-year age gap raised many eyebrows, but they didn't really care. They were too in love to be influenced by the voice of society. 2 years later, they tied the knot at a Las Vegas hotel in 1966. Mia Farrow was 21 years old at the time. Although it seemed like their marriage was going to work, Mia Farrow later claimed that she was too young and immature for such a serious commitment. She also revealed that Frank Sinatra wasn't exactly okay with the fact that she was working. He would often tell her this: "I'm a pretty good provider. I can't see why a woman would want to do anything else." Their marriage soon ended in a divorce in 1968, but the pair remained close friends. Mia Farrow would later get into a relationship and eventually marry Woody Allen. The pair had over 9 children, one of them being Ronan Farrow. But as he got older, people began to question if Woody Allen was truly his father because of the striking resemblance between him and Frank Sinatra. Although his parents and close family members are convinced that Woody Allen is his father, some people still have their doubts. Despite the suspicions, Ronan Farrow has decided to dismiss the suspicions. He has also vehemently refused to carry out DNA analysis to find out if Frank Sinatra is truly his father. In his words, Woody Allen, legally, ethically, and personally, was absolutely a father in our family. Although Ronan doesn't seem to care much about finding the truth, his mother has made some statements in interviews that suggest that she may have been involved with Frank Sinatra after their divorce. In a 2013 interview, Mia Farrow claimed that Ronan could possibly be the son of Frank Sinatra. Judging by her words, there is a high chance that Ronan is in fact Frank Sinatra's son. Carol Ann, Chaplin's baby. For a long time, Charlie Chaplin was known as a wholesome actor who became a household name through his roles, especially his famous tramp character. But after several years of building a successful career, some secrets about his personal life were revealed. Not only was Chaplin rumored to prefer significantly younger girls, he also allegedly got a young woman pregnant and denied it. Now, as a result of this, there were several pictures of the cute child all over the media and media reports that showed Chaplin refusing to take responsibility. He was convinced that he wasn't the father of the child, but this young woman continued to insist that Chaplin fathered her child. It all began in the early 1940s. While Chaplin was still married to his third wife, Paulette Goddard, he met a young and talented actress, and he was instantly drawn to her. She was beautiful, and she seemed like a promising actress, so he took her under his wing and eventually contracted her for an upcoming film titled Shadows and Substance. Chaplin and this actress named Joan Barry later got romantically involved with each other. There was no way Chaplin could deny having an affair with her, because as soon as she served him with a palimony suit, investigations began, and these led to revelations uncovered by the FBI. According to FBI documents, Chaplin told Berry to meet up with him in Los Angeles in 1942, paid for her plane ticket, and as soon as she got there, they began doing romantic activities. Berry also revealed that not only did they attended numerous parties together, she claimed that Chaplin convinced her to get romantically involved with other people, making her available to other men for immoral purposes. The pair also engaged in sexual acts several times in December of that year, and Berry believed that one of those times led to her daughter, Carol Ann, being conceived. The baby Carol Ann was born on the 2nd of October 1943. When Joan Berry informed Chaplin and he claimed he wasn't the father, she became furious. Not only did she accuse him of violating the Mann Act, but she also fought tooth and nail to prove that he was the father of her child. Over 3 blood tests were carried out, and all the results showed that Chaplin wasn't the father, but Joan believed that the medical professionals who carried out these tests were compromised. So she decided to fight harder, and this led to 2 trials. In the second one, a jury voted 11-1 that Chaplin was indeed the father of Joan Berry's child. As a result of this, Chaplin had to pay child support, and although he tried appealing, he lost. Liv Tyler, a case of hidden paternity. Remember Arwen from The Lord of the Rings? Did you know that she is Steve Tyler and Bebe Buell's love child? Bebe Buell was a model who gained fame in the 1970s for her relationships with rock musicians, notably Todd Rundgren. She moved to New York in 1972 after signing with a modeling agency and became known for her liaisons with various musicians. During this time, she also pursued a music career, recording an EP and forming a band called The B-Sides. She was extremely passionate about music, and she certainly had a thing for musicians. From 1972 to 1979, Buell was in a long-term relationship with Todd Rundgren. However, in 1976, she became pregnant after a brief relationship with Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith. This was the beginning of a complicated paternity dilemma. When Buell gave birth to her daughter, Liv Rundgren, in 1977, she claimed Rundgren as Liv's father on the birth certificate, citing Tyler's well-known struggles with drug addiction at the time. She didn't think Tyler was fit to raise her daughter, so she raised Liv to believe that her father was Rundgren. Liv didn't learn the truth about her paternity until she was around 11 years old. Upon noticing the resemblance between herself and Steven Tyler, she confronted her mother, and the truth was revealed. However, Buell kept the information private until Liv publicly acknowledged Steven Tyler as her father in 1991, changing her surname from Rundgren to Tyler. Buell's decision to initially claim Rundgren as Liv's father was due to concern for Liv's well-being, as Tyler was deeply involved in drug addiction during that period. Despite this, Liv and Steven Tyler have since developed a close relationship, and they've even collaborated professionally. Liv has expressed gratitude towards both Tyler and Rundgren, acknowledging Rundgren as a father figure in her life and maintaining a strong bond with both men. She is grateful for the gift of 2 phenomenal men that have become her father figures. Liv Tyler, the daughter of Bebe Buell and Steven Tyler, has risen to prominence as a successful actress in both film and television. She began her career at a young age, starting with modeling at just 14 years old. Her debut in the film industry came in 1994 with Silent Fall. However, it was her roles in films like Heavy and Empire Records in 1995 that garnered her critical acclaim. Her versatility as an actress was evident as she took on diverse roles in films like Armageddon in 1998, which became a major box office success. One of Tyler's most iconic roles came in the early 2000s when she portrayed the elf Arwen Undomiel in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings film trilogy from 2001-2003. The trilogy not only solidified her status as a talented actress, but also became one of the highest-grossing film series in history, further boosting her fame. After her success with The Lord of the Rings, Tyler continued to showcase her acting prowess in a variety of roles. She appeared in films like Jersey Girl in 2004 and The Incredible Hulk in 2008, displaying her range across different genres. There is no denying that Liv Tyler is an amazing actress. Scott Eastwood, The Eastwood Legacy. All his life, Scott Eastwood has been determined to make a name for himself, and one of the reasons why he did this was because his father trained him to be a man who can carve his own path. It is impossible to not notice the striking resemblance between the talented actor Scott Eastwood and the legend Clint Eastwood. It is not a secret that Scott is his son, but not many people know about the fact that Clint Eastwood, who was a married man, began a dangerous affair with a lady back in the 80s. This affair would later lead to the birth of Scott Eastwood in 1986. This is how it all began. In the 80s, when Clint Eastwood was gaining success in the industry, he was on top of the world. There were very few actors who could match his skills, and there was no denying that he was a big deal. As his fame grew, Clint got married to Maggie Johnson, but soon enough the cracks in their marriage began to show. It was said that while he was married to Maggie Johnson, he met a flight attendant that completely captured his attention. Her name was Jocelyn Reeves. She was living her life and focusing on her work when she met Clint Eastwood, who was already a star. Although there are no in-depth details about how they met, it was said that they later started an affair that lasted for a while. But this affair didn't just end in steamy romance. Jocelyn got pregnant for Clint, not once, but twice. First, they had Scott, then his sister Catherine after that. Unlike many fathers who abandon or deny children that they gave birth to out of wedlock, Clint took responsibility from the start and made up his mind to take care of his children. He wasn't just some absentee dad, he was still a huge part of Scott's life. He and his sister certainly felt his presence as he made sure he provided for them and taught them valuable life lessons. Scott practically grew up on his dad's ranch up in Northern California and spent so much time on his movie sets that he can't even remember his first visit to one. It was the time he spent watching his father on sets that sparked a desire in him to pursue acting. He fell in love with the craft and knew that if his father could succeed in the industry, he could do the same. However, Scott didn't expect his father to pave the way for him. When Scott decided to dive into the acting world himself, he wanted to do it on his own terms. So he started using his mom's last name, Reeves, for auditions. He needed to prove himself without riding on his dad's fame. He also knew his father well. Clint was never one to hand out favors left and right. Growing up during the Great Depression and experiencing poverty firsthand made him tough. He had to work extra hard for everything he had, and he made sure his children did the same. Scott had to hustle just like anyone else. He worked his way through Santa Barbara City College. His father made sure that he learned the value of money by making him pay his way through school and supporting him along the way. Because Scott started from scratch just like everyone else, he faced the tough early years of his career head-on. To make ends meet, he was slinging drinks at a bar near his home in San Diego by night, and by day he was busy hustling to auditions in LA, hoping he would get a big break. But you know what? All that hard work paid off. Scott carved out his own path in the industry and became a pretty big deal in his own right. He's not just Clint Eastwood's son. He's Scott Eastwood, making a name for himself both on screen and off. Scott has successfully built a solid career, landing significant roles in various genres. He has appeared in action films like Fury alongside Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf, as well as in romantic dramas like The Longest Ride. Like his father, Scott takes his work seriously and does not fail to put his best into every role. Scott's commitment to his craft and his willingness to take on diverse roles have contributed to his rising success in Hollywood. He has continued to build his resume with notable projects, including Suicide Squad in 2016 and Pacific Rim Uprising in 2018, among others. Beyond his work in front of the camera, Scott has also ventured into producing and directing. His dedication to storytelling and his willingness to explore different aspects of the industry reflects his passion for filmmaking. He is truly his father's son and feels fulfilled knowing that he built his career by himself. From extramarital affairs to pure undiluted lust on set, some of the stars of Hollywood's golden age just couldn't help their attraction. But following your passions has its own consequences, and for these stars, a love child they were not expecting was the result of their trysts. The response to having love children differed between these talented stars. As a matter of fact, some kept it so much a secret that you'd be shocked when you find out the truth. Michael Lindsay Hogg. It is possible to hide an affair from the world, but the one thing that cannot be hidden is the striking resemblance between a child and his parents. Perhaps this was the reason why, no matter how much his mother denied it, Michael Lindsay Hogg believed that his father was not the man he grew up with. He had a gut feeling that his father was an actor he had seen a couple of times. If you have ever come across the mind-blowing artistic works of Michael Lindsay Hogg, you'll know that he is an embodiment of rare talent. Whether he is behind the scenes of films, theater, or music videos, he is the kind of director who stands out. But what if I told you that he probably got his creative abilities from his mother, Geraldine Fitzgerald, who was a talented old Hollywood actress? But that's not all. The man he suspected to be his father was none other than the legendary actor and director, Orson Welles. So, this leaves us with the question, why did Michael grow up believing that he was fathered by the famous actor? Well, let's go back to how it all started. In the 1930s, Michael's mother, Geraldine Fitzgerald, was a well-known actress. She was one of the actresses who captivated audiences at the time through her roles in films like Dark Victory and Poltergeist. Because she was famous, everyone knew she was married to Sir Edward Lindsay Hogg. However, it was later rumored that she got into a brief affair with Orson Welles, who was married to Virginia Nicholson at the time. It was said that they were so attracted to each other that they moved their families to the same neighborhood so that they would be able to see each other often. This steamy affair allegedly led to the birth of Michael Lindsay Hogg. Because the families lived close to each other, Michael grew up alongside his alleged half-sister, Christopher Wells Feeder. It will amaze you to know that Christopher once said that she always felt a sibling connection with Michael, but she could never explain why. When Michael began to suspect that Orson Welles was his biological father, he approached his mother, but she denied over and over again. Despite the fact that she denied the rumors, Michael saw through her and believed that she wasn't telling the truth. Although she took this secret to her grave, Michael was hell-bent on finding answers no matter how difficult it was. When he got older, he made up his mind to find the truth once and for all. He would later take a DNA test, and while some reports claimed that the test confirmed Olson was his father, other reports claimed that it was inconclusive. But perhaps the words of his mother's trusted friend, Gloria Vanderbilt, gave him the closure he needed. Gloria confirmed to Michael that Olson was indeed his biological father. One can only imagine the confusion and uncertainty young Michael nursed while growing up. It's good to know that he finally has some closure about the issue. Although his past was undoubtedly tumultuous and his parentage was undoubtedly complicated, Michael has grown to be a talented man. Michael Lindsay Hogg, he is not like any other director you have seen before. You name it, he's done it. Film, TV, music videos, you name it. Remember the Beatles' rooftop concert in Let It Be? Yep, he captured that magic. And those iconic Beatles promo videos for Hey Jude and Revolution, his genius at work. But it's not just the Beatles. He's rocked with the Rolling Stones and jammed with Elton John, directing some seriously cool music videos. On the small screen, he's dipped his toes into classics like Brideshead Revisited and brought a touch of class to The Equalizer. And let's not forget his work in film, from the intriguingly titled Nasty Habits to the suspenseful The Sound of Murder. He's like the ultimate directorial all-rounder, spinning his magic across the entertainment universe for decades. This love child has grown to be a man who has fought to make his dreams come true. Judy Lewis. In an industry where everyone seems to know everyone's secret, the paternity of young Judy Lewis became a source of whispers and gossip. There was no denying that she looked like the then famous actor Clark Gable, but she grew up believing that she was an adopted child. It all started when Gable and Loretta's parts crossed amidst the dazzling lights and opulent sets. Initially, they were just colleagues, but as time went on, they began to fall for each other. Clark Gable, the dashing king of Hollywood, and Loretta Young, the enchanting leading lady, could no longer hide how they felt about each other. Their on-screen chemistry was palpable, but it was behind closed doors where their passion truly ignited, away from the watchful eyes of studio executives and gossip columnists. Amidst the breathtaking landscapes of film sets, their affair flourished, defying the moral codes and societal norms of the time. Loretta, with her starry eyes and porcelain beauty, found herself swept away by Gable's charm. Considering her reputation, no one would have thought that Loretta Young would find herself entangled with Clark Gable. Loretta Young was widely regarded as a woman of strong moral character throughout her career in Hollywood. She was known for her grace, poise, and dedication to her craft. Young was often praised for her professionalism and integrity, both on and off the screen. She maintained a wholesome image and was perceived as a role model for many, particularly during the more conservative era of Hollywood. One can say she was a morally upright individual. Clark Gable, on the other hand, didn't have a spotless reputation. His reputation is a bit more complex. While he was undoubtedly one of the most charismatic and talented actors of his time, Gable was also known for his somewhat tumultuous personal life. He had multiple marriages and was rumored to have engaged in extramarital affairs. Despite this, Gable maintained a strong work ethic and was respected for his dedication to his craft. However, his personal life often overshadowed his professional achievements, leading to a more mixed perception of his morality compared to Loretta Young. Although they probably intended to keep their affair a secret forever, something happened that brought their secret love to light. This was the birth of their live child, Judy Lewis. Judy's existence remained hidden from the scrutinizing gaze of an industry built on illusions and perfection. Loretta, determined to protect her child from judgment, went to great lengths to conceal the truth, confiding only in the inner circles of Hollywood's elite. But as time went on, people began to notice. They could hide their affair, but the one thing they couldn't hide was the resemblance between Judy and her father, Clark Gable. But in order to keep their secret hidden, Loretta Young told her child that she was adopted. It was when Judy was 15 years old that she met her father for the first time. He came over to Loretta Young's house, but there was no discussion about whether or not Gable was her father. Judy grew up believing that she was indeed adopted and tried to ignore the rumors about her paternity. Yet, as fate would have it, secrets have a way of surfacing. The revelation of Judy Lewis as the love child of Clark Gable and Loretta Young rocked the very foundation of Hollywood glamour. It was said that Judy found out that the famous actor was indeed her father, and not just her mother's friend on her wedding day. Judy, who was 31 years old at that time, confronted her mother and demanded nothing but the truth on her wedding day. Her mother, filled with emotions and regret, finally revealed the truth to her daughter. Judy, now a young woman, unveiled the long-guarded secret. As expected, the revelation sparked a media frenzy, casting a shadow on the shining reputation of one of Hollywood's most iconic leading men. She would later write an autobiography called Uncommon Knowledge, confirming that she was indeed Clark Gable's child. Roberto Rosolini. For several years, Ingrid Bergman made a name for herself as an iconic movie star. She started her career with German and Swedish films, and it wasn't long before Hollywood noticed her. But just when she transitioned into Hollywood and started making waves, she fell in love with a director and began a secret love affair. Ingrid Bergman was a phenomenal actress who was gracing screens for the most part of the late 1930s. Not only was she known for her mind-blowing performances, but filmmakers who worked with her testified that she was a highly talented actress who was willing to go above and beyond to bring her roles to life. Her career skyrocketed in the year 1936 when she played a lead role in the film Intermezzo. She would later appear in Intermezzo, a Love Story, which was her first acting role in the U.S. However, her life took an unexpected turn when she met a director called Roberto Rosolini in the mid-1940s. Following a letter she wrote him, he came to visit her in her home in the United States, and before she knew it, she began to have feelings for him. Interestingly, Ingrid was married to her first husband, Peter Lindstrom, at the time, and they had a daughter together. So, exploring the spark between her and the director would automatically be a taboo. What made it even worse was the fact that they were both married and had feelings for each other at a time when morals and family values were a big deal. It wasn't long before the pair decided to damn the consequences and fully explore the feelings they had for each other. Initially, they were able to hide their affair, but after a while, people began to notice. What made the whole thing even more shocking was that Ingrid had the reputation of a saint. She was one of the few actresses who didn't do cosmetic enhancements and was always praised for her naturalness. She only posed for decent pictures and made sure she didn't soil her reputation. When the news of her affair began circulating in the tabloids, people were beyond shocked. She was condemned by religious bodies, political bodies, and even people once called fans. She was no longer given roles because filmmakers were afraid that her presence in a film would lead to a ban. She was called an adulterous woman, and all kinds of mean things were said about her. But despite all the condemnation, Ingrid and Rosolini's affair only waxed stronger. The director would later divorce his wife for Ingrid, but Ingrid's attempts to leave her husband led to a messy legal battle. Her husband didn't let her go without putting up a fight. Soon enough, she got pregnant and gave birth to their first child in a hospital in Rome on the 2nd of February 1950. They were still unmarried at the time. Back in the day, it was like an abomination for a child to be born out of wedlock, so studios and movie stars did their best to hide love children, but Ingrid and Rossellini decided not to hide any longer. Sadly, this child, who was supposed to mark the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, actually led to an international uproar. It was said that U.S. Senator Edwin C. denounced the actress on the floor of the Senate and called her a disgrace to American womanhood. As if this was not enough, her home country also condemned her actions, highlighting that she disgraced her country. Just like that, this actress, who was once loved and admired, became hated all over the world. Despite all these, Ingrid loved her child, and shortly after, she got married to Roberto Rosolini. Their first son, who is now in his 70s, was said to have worked as an Italian real estate investor and a stockbroker when he was younger. Jack Nicholson. It is nearly impossible to be a fan of Hollywood movies and not come across at least one Jack Nicholson film. This is a cinematic legend whose contributions to film have left an indelible impact on audiences worldwide. There is no denying performances, memorable characters, and unparalleled talent have solidified his place in cinematic history. But what a lot of people may not know is that Jack Nicholson is also a love child. He grew up believing that his mother June was his sister, and that his grandmother Ethel May was his biological mother because of a difficult decision that his mother had to make when he was a baby. But how did this happen? What made Jack Nicholson believe that his mother was his sister? It all began in April 1937 when Jack Nicholson came into this world, but his beginnings were far from ordinary. His father, Donald Fursillo, was already married when he fell in love with a young girl and got her pregnant. Clearly, being involved with a girl who was way younger than him was forbidden, and making it public was only going to get him into trouble. But Donald Fursillo couldn't hide his feelings for this girl, and he wanted to step up and do the right thing, so he decided that he was going to marry her. He set the plan in motion and tied the knot with 17-year-old showgirl June "Dink" Nicholson. But it was only when she said, "I do," that she found out that this Italian-American showman, Donald Fursillo, was keeping a big secret. Immediately, their fresh union was entangled by controversy, taboos, secrets, and lies, because not only was June underage, but Donald already had a wife. Despite this, Don really wanted to take responsibility for his child, and he didn't want June to raise Jack alone. Although Donald's intentions seemed pure, June didn't buy the idea. As soon as she found out that he was already married, she started looking for other ways to ensure that her child was well taken care of. As a young girl who was trying to make ends meet, she knew for a fact that she wouldn't be able to cater to the needs of her child, so she decided to make a difficult decision, which was sending Jack to live with her own parents instead. Because he began living with his grandparents at an early age, Jack grew up believing that his grandparents, Ethel and John Nicholson, were his parents. No matter how tempting it was, his mother never told him the truth about his biological parents. She treated him like a brother, even on days when she was yearning to play the role of a mother. It wasn't until he was 37 years old in 1974 that he discovered the truth. Imagine finding out at that age that the people you thought were your parents were actually your grandparents. It must have been a shock, but the surprises in Jack's life didn't end there. He had quite a colorful romantic life himself. He was married to Sandra Knight in the 1960s, and they had a daughter named Jennifer. But Jack's relationships weren't always conventional. He had affairs, one of which resulted in a daughter named Honey Holman. Honey was born during his 17-year relationship with actress Angelica Houston. Imagine the complexities of growing up in such a situation. Jack also had another daughter named Lorraine from another affair during his relationship with Angelica. Her mother was Rebecca Broussard, who was actually an actress in one of Jack's films, The Two Jakes. Talk about drama both on and off the screen. And the surprises don't stop there. Actress Susan Anspach even claimed that Jack Nicholson might be the father of her son, Caleb Goddard. It seems like Jack's life was just as dramatic and intriguing as the movies he starred in. But despite his issues about his parentage, Jack Nicholson didn't allow himself to become a victim of his past. Over the years, he healed from whatever trauma the situation may have caused him and went on to create an amazing career. Today, Jack Nicholson is known as a renowned American actor, filmmaker, and producer who has left an indelible mark on the world of cinema. Nicholson's career spans several decades, and he is celebrated for his versatility, intensity, and iconic performances across a wide range of genres. He is perhaps best known for his captivating portrayals of complex and morally ambiguous characters. One of his most iconic roles came in the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where he played the rebellious and charismatic Randall McMurphy, a patient in a mental institution. This performance earned Nicholson his first Academy Award for Best Actor, solidifying his status as one of the greatest actors of his generation. But he didn't stop there. He kept on pouring into his craft and creating in a mind-blowing way. Another landmark role for Nicholson was in Stanley Kubrick's 1980 horror classic The Shining, where he delivered a chilling and unforgettable performance as Jack Torrance, a writer driven to madness while serving as the winter caretaker of the haunted Overlook Hotel. Throughout his illustrious career, Nicholson has showcased his remarkable range in films such as Chinatown, Terms of Endearment, Batman, As Good as It Gets, and About Schmidt, among many others. Isn't it amazing that Jack Nicholson became everything he ever dreamed of becoming and never allowed his past to dictate his future? From his unconventional parentage to his colorful romantic life, Jack's story is one that keeps people captivated. Who would have thought that behind that iconic smile lay such a fascinating tale? Allegra Houston. If you asked young Allegra Houston who her dad was, she would tell you that he was none other than the famous director John Huston. Why? Because for as long as she could remember, he was the man she called Dad. But as she grew older, she became uncertain and began to wonder if Huston was really her father. Born on the 26th of August, 1964, Allegra was the product of an affair her mother Enrica had with John Julius Norwich, the Viscount of Norwich. However, Allegra grew up believing that she was the daughter of the famous film director John Huston. Growing up, Allegra had no doubt that John Huston was her biological father. She was raised in a world where she thought she was part of his family, with siblings who shared the same name. But her life took a surprising turn when she discovered the truth about her parentage. It wasn't until later in life that Allegra learned about her true biological father and the circumstances surrounding her birth. Her mother, Enrica, was married to John Huston for several years, but in the early 1960s, they had a major marital problem, and they became estranged. It was during this period that Enrica began an affair with John Norwich. Their affair would later lead to her getting pregnant and giving birth to Allegra. Tragically, her mother, Enrica, passed away in a car accident in 1969, and Allegra was only 4 years old at the time. Despite the loss, John Huston stepped in and raised Allegra as his own daughter, showing immense love and devotion. A lot of people were shocked that he raised someone else's child like his old child. Imagine the emotions Allegra must have felt when she discovered the truth. How did she react? How did she come to terms with having two fathers and two sets of siblings? These are questions that likely ran through her mind as she navigated this complex family dynamic. Allegra eventually found solace in writing her autobiography, Love Child, a memoir of family lost and found. In this memoir, she didn't hold back as she delved into her unique upbringing, exploring the complexities of her identity as both American and English, and the challenges she faced growing up with this secret. But Allegra has not allowed her past to define her. She is now a successful writer, carving her own path in the world of literature. Despite the challenges she faced, she has embraced her past while building a fulfilling future of her own. Giovanni Jackson, Daddy's Girl. In the heart of the 1930s, a decade marked by the Great Depression and the rise of cinematic escapism, Hollywood's king, Clark Gable, stood at the pinnacle of stardom. His rugged charm and charismatic presence captivated audiences worldwide. But behind the scenes, a complex web of forbidden love affairs was unfolding, far from the prying eyes of the public. It was on the set of Gone with the Wind, 1939, amidst the turmoil of a nation torn by civil war, that Gable's own tumultuous personal life mirrored the on-screen drama. While the cameras rolled, capturing the fiery romance between Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara, Gable was entangled in a secretive affair that threatened to upend his carefully curated image. The object of Gable's affection was not his famous co-star, Vivien Leigh, but another renowned actress, known for her elegance and poise, a stark contrast to Gable's rugged persona. Their encounters were discreet, a dance of shadows and whispers in the hidden corners of Hollywood's grand sets and lavish parties. This affair, fueled by passion and fraught with risk, was a stark contradiction to Gable's public image as a happily married man. As whispers of the affair began to seep through the studio lots, the tension was palpable. Gable, ever the consummate professional, continued to charm audiences on screen, but off-camera, he grappled with the complexities of a love that defied the conventions of the time. The affair was a well-kept secret, one that could jeopardize not just Gable's reputation, but also the careers of those involved. This hidden chapter of Gable's life was just one of many. His journey through Hollywood's golden age was marked by a series of clandestine relationships, each revealing a different facet of a man who was as complex in his personal life as he was charismatic on screen. But who was this mysterious actress, and how did their forbidden love story unfold amidst the glittering backdrop of Hollywood's most glamorous era? As we delve deeper into the untold story of Clark Gable's forbidden love affairs, we uncover a tale of passion, secrecy, and the price of love in a time when image was everything, and the truth was often hidden behind the silver screen. Loretta Young, a scandalous secret. In the early 1930s, Hollywood was a place where image was meticulously crafted, and scandals were often hidden behind the glamour of the silver screen. It was in this era that Clark Gable, the epitome of Hollywood's leading man, found himself entwined in a clandestine affair with the radiant Loretta Young, an actress known for her ethereal beauty and on-screen innocence. Their affair began on the set of The Call of the Wild, 1935, a film set against the backdrop of the Alaskan wilderness. The chemistry between Gable and Young was undeniable, both on and off the screen. However, their off-screen romance was fraught with risks, as both actors were rising stars bound by the strict moral codes of the time. The affair was kept under wraps with secret rendezvous and whispered promises, but the consequences of their liaison soon became impossible to hide. Young left Hollywood abruptly, citing illness, only to return months later with a child, a daughter named Judy. The official story was adoption, a narrative carefully constructed to protect both Young and Gable's reputations. The truth, however, was far more complex. Judy was, in fact, Gable and Young's biological daughter, a secret that was kept hidden for decades. Young went to great lengths to maintain this facade, even staging an elaborate adoption process to bring Judy into her home. The secret of Judy's parentage was a heavy burden, one that Young carried throughout her life. Gable, on the other hand, remained publicly detached from the situation. He continued his rise to stardom, becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, while Young raised Judy on her own, her career also flourishing despite the personal challenges she faced. The affair and its aftermath were a testament to the complex dynamics of Hollywood's golden age. It was a time when personal lives were often sacrificed for the sake of public image, and secrets were a currency in the business of stardom. As Judy grew older, the truth about her parentage slowly came to light, revealing the hidden layers of her mother's and Gable's lives. The story of their affair and the daughter they shared is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made and the lengths gone to protect reputations in a bygone era of Hollywood. The affair between Clark Gable and Loretta Young and the secret of their daughter remained one of Hollywood's most closely guarded secrets for years, a hidden chapter in the lives of two of its most iconic stars. Joan Crawford, passion on and off screen. The relationship between Clark Gable and Joan Crawford was one of Hollywood's most electrifying on-screen pairings, but their connection extended far beyond the camera's gaze. Their affair, marked by passion and intensity, was a well-known secret in Hollywood, adding a layer of intrigue to their already glamorous personas. Crawford and Gable first worked together in Dance Fools Dance, 1931, and the chemistry between them was immediate. Both were rising stars, and their on-screen romance quickly translated into a real-life affair. Their relationship was a blend of mutual admiration and a shared understanding of the pressures of stardom. The affair was characterized by its intensity and volatility. Both Gable and Crawford were known for their strong personalities, and their union was anything but tranquil. They shared a fiery passion that was as tumultuous as it was passionate. Their encounters were often hidden away in secluded spots, away from the prying eyes of the public and the studio bosses who were keen on maintaining their stars' clean images. Despite the passion, their relationship was also marked by practicality. Both were aware of the implications their affair could have on their careers. Crawford, in particular, was navigating a tumultuous marriage to Douglas Fairbanks Jr. at the time, and an open affair with Gable could have been disastrous for her image. Their affair spanned several years and numerous films together. Each project they shared brought them closer, yet the reality of their circumstances meant that their relationship could never truly develop beyond stolen moments and secret rendezvous. The studios, ever vigilant about protecting their investments, worked hard to keep the affair out of the headlines, but rumors and whispers persisted. The on-again, off-again nature of their relationship continued through the years, even as they both married other people. Their final film together, Strange Cargo, 1940, was a poignant end to their on-screen partnership, a reflection of the complex and passionate journey they had shared. The relationship between Clark Gable and Joan Crawford is a vivid illustration of the complexities of Hollywood relationships during the Golden Age. It was a time when image and reality were often at odds, and the pressures of fame and public perception dictated the course of personal relationships. Their affair, though fraught with challenges, was a testament to their undeniable connection, both as actors and as individuals. It remains a fascinating chapter in the history of Hollywood, a story of passion, discretion, and the intricate dance between public personas and private lives. Lana Turner, A Turbulent Affair. Known for her glamour and tumultuous personal life, Lana Turner had a complex and passionate relationship with Clark Gable that mirrored the drama of their on-screen performances. Their affair was one of Hollywood's open secrets, a relationship that was as intense as it was fraught with the complications of their respective public images. Turner and Gable first co-starred in Honky Tonk, 1941, and the attraction between them was immediate. Turner, with her stunning beauty and charisma, was at the peak of her career, while Gable was already an established star. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and it wasn't long before rumors of a real-life romance began to circulate. The nature of their relationship was passionate and intense, characterized by its highs and lows. Both Turner and Gable were known for their strong wills and fiery personalities, which made their affair both exhilarating and tumultuous. They shared a deep connection, but their relationship was never smooth, often marked by passionate arguments and reconciliations. Their affair was complicated by the fact that both were married to other people at the time. Turner's marriage to Artie Shaw was already on the rocks, and her affair with Gable added further strain. Gable, on the other hand, was married to Carole Lombard, and his affair with Turner was a source of much guilt and conflict for him. Despite the challenges, Turner and Gable continued their relationship for several years, their affair spanning multiple film collaborations. Each project they worked on together reignited their passion, but it also brought the challenges of their situation back into focus. The studios, ever concerned about protecting their stars' images, worked tirelessly to keep the affair out of the public eye. The relationship came to an end as both actors moved on with their lives and careers. Turner's personal life continued to be marked by drama and scandal, most notably her involvement in the Johnny Stompanato homicide case. Gable, for his part, eventually found stability in his marriage to Kay Williams. Carole Lombard, the love of his life. Amidst the myriad of affairs and scandals that marked Clark Gable's life, his relationship with Carole Lombard stood out as a genuine love story. Their marriage was regarded as one of Hollywood's great romances, a rare instance where Gable's notorious womanizing gave way to a deep and enduring love. Gable and Lombard first met in 1932 during the filming of No Man of Her Own. At the time, there was no romantic involvement, as both were involved with other people. However, their paths crossed again in 1936 at a Hollywood party, and this time, the attraction was immediate and powerful. Lombard's vivacious personality and sharp wit captivated Gable, and their relationship quickly progressed. Their romance was not without obstacles. Gable was still married to his second wife, Rhea Langham, and the process of securing a divorce was both lengthy and public. Lombard, known for her free-spirited nature and disdain for convention, waited patiently for Gable, and their love only grew stronger during this period. The couple married in 1939, and their relationship was marked by a deep mutual respect and affection. Lombard's influence on Gable was profound. She helped him relax and enjoy life away from the pressures of Hollywood. They shared a passion for hunting and outdoor life, often escaping to their ranch in Encino for privacy and relaxation. Tragically, their marriage was cut short. In 1942, Lombard, while on a war bonds tour, was killed in a plane crash. Gable was devastated by her death. He enlisted in the Army Air Forces, a decision many believe was influenced by his grief. Lombard's death marked a turning point in Gable's life, and he was never quite the same after losing her. The love story of Clark Gable and Carole Lombard stands in stark contrast to Gable's reputation as a womanizer, showcasing a different side of the actor, a man capable of deep love and commitment. Their relationship remains a testament to the power of love in an industry often characterized by fleeting romances and superficial connections. Marion Davies, a discreet connection. The relationship between Clark Gable and Marion Davies, though less publicized than his other affairs, was a discreet connection that added another layer to Gable's complex romantic history. Davies, a talented actress and renowned beauty, was known for her long-term relationship with newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst, which made her affair with Gable all the more secretive and delicate. Gable and Davies reportedly met at the lavish parties hosted by Hearst at San Simeon, his grand estate. These gatherings were legendary, attended by Hollywood's elite, and provided the perfect backdrop for discreet liaisons. Gable, charmed by Davies's wit and vivacity, found in her a kindred spirit, someone who understood the pressures and temptations of Hollywood life. Their affair was carefully concealed, as both were acutely aware of the potential repercussions. Hearst, a powerful figure in the industry, was fiercely protective of Davies, and any hint of infidelity could have had serious consequences for all involved. The relationship was thus kept out of the public eye, with meetings arranged in secret and with utmost caution. Despite the need for secrecy, those within certain Hollywood circles were aware of the affair. It was one of many open secrets in an industry where personal lives were often as scripted and managed as the films themselves. However, the respect and affection between Gable and Davies were evident to those who knew them, even if it had to be hidden from the wider world. The affair eventually ended, as both Gable and Davies moved on with their lives. Gable continued his string of high-profile relationships and marriages, while Davies remained with Hearst until his death. The relationship with Gable, though a brief chapter in her life, was a testament to Davies' complexity as a woman who navigated the intricate web of Hollywood relationships with grace and discretion. The connection between Clark Gable and Marion Davies is a lesser-known but intriguing aspect of Hollywood's romantic history. It highlights the hidden dynamics of relationships in an era where image and reputation were paramount and where love often had to find its way through the shadows of public scrutiny. Grace Kelly, A Royal Romance. The brief but notable connection between Clark Gable and Grace Kelly during the filming of Mogambo, 1953, was a relationship that caught the attention of both their peers and the media. Kelly, with her ethereal beauty and poised demeanor, was at the beginning of her meteoric rise in Hollywood, while Gable was an established star, the epitome of masculine charm. Set against the backdrop of the African safari, Mogambo provided the perfect setting for romance to blossom. Gable and Kelly's on-screen chemistry was palpable, and rumors quickly began to circulate about a real-life romance. Their attraction was a blend of Gable's rugged charm and Kelly's serene elegance, creating a dynamic that was both captivating and complex. The affair, though brief, was intense. Gable was drawn to Kelly's grace and sophistication, qualities that contrasted with his more rugged persona. For Kelly, Gable represented the quintessential Hollywood leading man, charismatic and worldly. Their romance, however, was not without its complications. Gable was married at the time, and Kelly was acutely aware of the importance of maintaining her pristine image. The relationship was discreet, with both stars understanding the implications of a public affair. They shared stolen moments away from the prying eyes of the press, but the romance was short-lived. The end of the film's production marked the end of their affair, with both returning to their respective lives and careers. Kelly's life took a dramatic turn when she left Hollywood to become Princess of Monaco, marrying Prince Rainier III. Gable, meanwhile, continued his career in Hollywood, his affair with Kelly becoming a whispered chapter in his storied life. The relationship between Clark Gable and Grace Kelly is a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of Hollywood romances. It was a connection that transcended the usual Hollywood affair, marked by a mutual respect and a shared understanding of the delicate balance between public image and private desire. Sylvia Ashley, A Duchess's Charm. Clark Gable's marriage to Sylvia Ashley, a British model and socialite who had previously been a duchess through her marriage to Douglas Fairbanks Sr., was a union that brought him into the world of British nobility but was fraught with challenges and differences. This chapter in Gable's life marked a departure from his usual Hollywood romances, offering a glimpse into his desire for stability and companionship in his later years. Ashley, known for her elegance and sophistication, was a stark contrast to the women Gable had previously been involved with. Their relationship began in the wake of personal tragedies for both. Gable was grieving the loss of his third wife, Carol Lombard, while Ashley had recently divorced Fairbanks. They found solace in each other's company, and their marriage in 1949 was seen as a fresh start for both. However, the marriage soon faced difficulties. Gable, a quintessential Hollywood star, was rooted in the glitz and glamour of American cinema, while Ashley was accustomed to the aristocratic lifestyle of British high society. These differing worlds and lifestyles led to clashes and misunderstandings. Ashley's penchant for high society and luxury was at odds with Gable's more down-to-earth personality. The couple's public appearances often portrayed a facade of marital bliss, but behind closed doors the reality was different. Their union was marked by increasing tension and disagreements over lifestyle choices and priorities. Gable's career in Hollywood continued to demand his attention, while Ashley's social engagements pulled her in different directions. Their marriage, which lasted until 1952, ultimately ended in divorce. The relationship with Sylvia Ashley was a chapter in Gable's life that highlighted his search for companionship and a sense of normalcy away from the Hollywood spotlight. However, it also underscored the challenges of merging two very different worlds and the complexities of finding love later in life. Kay Williams, the final chapter. Clark Gable's fifth and final marriage to Kay Williams, a former actress and model, represented a stabilizing force in the later years of his life. After a series of high-profile relationships and marriages, Gable's union with Williams was seen as a return to a more grounded and tranquil existence, away from the tumultuous romantic escapades of his past. Williams and Gable's relationship began in a Hollywood that was changing rapidly. Gable, once the undisputed king of Hollywood, was facing the challenges of an industry that was evolving and a new generation of actors rising to prominence. Williams, with her understanding and supportive nature, provided Gable with a sense of comfort and normalcy. Their marriage in 1955 was a low-key affair, reflecting their desire for a more private life. Williams was aware of Gable's history and the pressures of being married to one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. She navigated this role with grace, providing a stable home life and becoming a trusted confidant and partner to Gable. The couple's life together was marked by a shared love of the outdoors and a simpler lifestyle, far removed from the glamour and intensity of Gable's earlier years in the spotlight. They enjoyed quiet times at their ranch, a stark contrast to the lavish Hollywood parties and premieres that had once been a staple of Gable's life. In 1960, Williams and Gable were overjoyed to discover they were expecting a child. However, their happiness was short-lived. Gable suffered a severe heart attack and passed away just months before the birth of their son, John Clark Gable. Williams was left to navigate the challenges of widowhood and single motherhood, all while dealing with the immense legacy of her late husband. Clark Gable's marriage to Kay Williams was a final chapter that brought him peace and contentment, a stark contrast to the earlier, more turbulent years of his life. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love and companionship in providing stability and happiness, even amidst the ever-changing landscape of Hollywood. The story of Gable and Williams is a poignant reminder of the personal journeys and transformations that can occur over a lifetime, especially for those living in the public eye. It was a chapter that closed the book on the romantic escapades of one of cinema's most legendary figures, offering a glimpse into a more serene and contented side of Clark Gable's life. In the glittering era of 1930s Hollywood, amidst the grandeur of Art Deco sets and the allure of silver screen glamour, a star was rising. Jean Harlow, the original blonde bombshell. Her platinum hair and sultry looks captivated audiences worldwide, but behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding, one that was not scripted for the silver screen. It was during the filming of Red Dust in 1932, a production set in the steamy backdrop of Indochina, that Harlow's strong-willed nature came to a head. The set was abuzz with the usual flurry of activity, but tensions were simmering beneath the surface. Harlow, known for her assertive personality, was at odds with the film's director, Victor Fleming. The clash was over a scene that Harlow felt didn't resonate with her character's essence, a disagreement that would escalate into a full-blown confrontation. Fleming, known for his no-nonsense approach, was unyielding, insisting that the scene was crucial. Harlow, equally stubborn, refused to back down, challenging Fleming in front of the entire crew. The standoff was intense, with Harlow's fiery temperament on full display. Witnesses later recounted how the set went silent, the tension palpable in the air. The confrontation ended with Harlow storming off the set, leaving a stunned crew in her wake. This incident was emblematic of Harlow's time in Hollywood, a period marked by her battles against the studio system's constraints and her insistence on having a say in her career. Her refusal to be a docile figure in a male-dominated industry was groundbreaking, but it also earned her a reputation for being difficult to work with. As the cameras rolled and the director called action, Harlow's on-screen persona was that of the untouchable glamour girl, but off-screen she was a woman of grit and determination, unafraid to stand up for herself. This duality of Harlow's character, the glamorous star and the strong-willed woman, was a constant theme in her career, a career that was as much defined by her talent as it was by her refusal to conform to Hollywood's expectations. But what lay beneath this assertive exterior? Was Harlow's difficult behavior a mere product of Hollywood's pressure cooker environment, or was there more to the story of this blonde bombshell who dared to challenge the status quo? As we peel back the layers of Harlow's life and career, we uncover a tale of ambition, defiance, and the complex nature of fame in Hollywood's golden age. Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell's battles. Hollywood's original blonde bombshell, Harlow was as renowned for her strong-willed nature as she was for her luminous on-screen presence. Behind the glamorous facade, Harlow often found herself in battles that revealed a different side to her character, one that was at odds with the submissive roles typically assigned to women in the industry during the 1930s. One such battle occurred during the production of Red-Headed Woman in 1932. Harlow, determined to break free from the stereotype of the ditzy blonde, clashed with director Jack Conway over the portrayal of her character. Harlow envisioned a more nuanced performance, while Conway insisted on a more straightforward interpretation. The tension escalated to a point where Harlow refused to shoot certain scenes, leading to a heated exchange that halted production for a day. Harlow's assertiveness extended beyond the set. She was known for her candidness in an era where actresses were expected to be demure and compliant. Her refusal to adhere to the strict moral codes and expectations of female stars at the time often put her at odds with studio executives. Harlow's open defiance of these norms was groundbreaking, but it also branded her as troublesome in the eyes of many industry insiders. Another episode that highlighted Harlow's strong personality was her relationship with MGM's head, Louis B. Mayer. Mayer, known for his controlling nature, often dictated the personal and professional lives of his stars. Harlow, however, resisted his attempts to manage her career and personal life. She challenged Mayer's decisions on several occasions, a bold move that few stars dared to make. Harlow's personal life was equally tumultuous. Her marriages, particularly her union with producer Paul Byrne, were fraught with issues that spilled over into her professional life. The mysterious circumstances surrounding Byrne's death only added to the controversies that seemed to follow Harlow, affecting her reputation and adding to the perception of her as a Hollywood rebel. Despite these challenges, Harlow's talent and charisma shone through. She delivered captivating performances in films like Platinum Blonde, DZ 1931, and Bombshell, 1933, showcasing her range as an actress. However, her career was often overshadowed by the off-screen drama and her battles with the Hollywood establishment. Mae West, defying censorship and convention. The queen of double entendre and a symbol of sexual liberation in early Hollywood, Mae West was as notorious for her assertive personality as she was for her risque performances. Her career was a continuous battle against censorship and the conservative norms of her time, making her one of the most controversial figures in Hollywood history.
West's clashes with censorship began early in her career, particularly with her Broadway plays like Sex, 1926, which she wrote, produced, and starred in. The play's bold content led to her arrest and a subsequent 10-day jail sentence for corrupting the morals of youth. This incident set the tone for her future endeavors in Hollywood, where she continued to push boundaries. Upon her arrival in Hollywood, West immediately made her mark with films like She Done Him Wrong, 1933, and I'm No Angel, 1933. Her scripts were filled with sexual innuendos and provocative themes, drawing the ire of the newly established Production Code Administration, PCA. West's constant battle with the PCA became a defining aspect of her career. She often had to rewrite her lines to evade censorship, but she did so in a way that maintained the essence of her risque style. West's assertive nature extended beyond her professional work. She was known for her bold statements and unabashed confidence, a rarity for women in the industry at the time. Her famous quip, "When I'm good, I'm very good, but when I'm bad, I'm better," encapsulated her approach to life and her career. Her personal life was equally unconventional. West never married, a decision that was unconventional for women of her era. She maintained numerous relationships throughout her life, defying societal expectations and norms. Her open attitude towards sexuality and relationships was revolutionary, but it also led to her being labeled as difficult and controversial. Despite the challenges, West's impact on Hollywood was undeniable. She was one of the highest-paid stars of her time and saved Paramount Pictures from bankruptcy with her films. However, her career suffered as censorship rules became stricter, limiting the scope of her performances. Rita Hayworth, the love goddess's turmoil. Known as the love goddess of Hollywood, Hayworth captivated audiences with her stunning beauty and talent. However, behind the glamour, Hayworth faced personal struggles that sometimes manifested in challenging behavior, impacting her professional relationships and her image in the industry. Hayworth's most tumultuous period was during her marriage to Prince Ali Khan. The high-profile nature of their relationship brought immense media attention, but it was fraught with issues. The stress of this public scrutiny, combined with her husband's reported infidelities, took a toll on Hayworth. During this time, her behavior on set became increasingly erratic. She was known to be late or absent, causing delays in production schedules. This unreliability was out of character for the star, who was previously known for her professionalism. One notable incident occurred during the filming of Miss Sadie Thompson, 1953. Hayworth's personal life was unraveling, and it began to affect her work. She would often arrive late and unprepared, visibly distressed, which led to tensions with the crew and her co-stars. The production was plagued with delays, and the budget ballooned, largely due to Hayworth's inability to perform as expected. Hayworth's struggles were compounded by her battles with Columbia Pictures head Harry Cohn. Cohn was known for his controlling nature, and he often clashed with Hayworth over her career choices and personal life. Hayworth's resistance to Cohn's attempts to manage her life added to her reputation as being difficult, a label that was in many ways unfair given the circumstances she was facing. Her personal challenges, including a series of failed marriages and struggles with alcohol, were often played out in the public eye, affecting her reputation. The media's portrayal of Hayworth was not always sympathetic, painting her as a troubled star, which only added to her difficulties. Despite these challenges, Hayworth's legacy in Hollywood is enduring. She remains one of the most iconic figures of the golden age of cinema. Her story is a poignant reminder of the pressures faced by stars, particularly women, in an industry that often prioritized public image over personal well-being. Hayworth's journey through the turmoil of fame and personal struggles is a testament to her resilience and the complexities of life behind the glamour of Hollywood. Norma Shearer breaking the mold. A prominent actress in the early days of Hollywood, Norma was known not just for her on-screen talent, but also for her strong personality and determination to shape her own career, a stance that was unusual and often challenging in her time. Shearer's assertiveness was most evident in her relentless pursuit of the role of Jerry in The Divorcee, 1930, a film that would earn her an Academy Award. Despite the studio's initial reluctance to cast her in such a bold and unconventional role, Shearer was undeterred. She personally arranged a photo shoot, presenting herself in a more glamorous and sensual light, starkly different from her usual image. This move was bold and risky, but it paid off, showcasing her determination and ability to take control of her career. Her marriage to MGM's production chief, Irving Thalberg, gave her a unique position in the studio hierarchy, but it also led to accusations of favoritism. Shearer, however, did not let this undermine her ambitions. She continued to push for challenging and diverse roles, often clashing with studio executives and directors over her career choices. Her insistence on having a say in her roles and her refusal to be typecast or sidelined was groundbreaking for an actress at the time. Shearer's strong-willed nature extended to her personal life as well. She was known for her independence and her refusal to conform to the traditional expectations of women in Hollywood. This independence, while admirable, was sometimes perceived as arrogance, leading to strained relationships within the industry. One incident that highlighted Shearer's assertive nature occurred during the production of Marie Antoinette, 1938. Shearer was heavily involved in the production, from the script to the casting, and her involvement was sometimes seen as overbearing. Her determination to portray the character in a specific light led to disagreements with the director, W.S. Van Dyke, and tension on set. Despite these challenges, Shearer's career was marked by significant achievements. She was one of the few actresses of her time who successfully transitioned from silent films to talkies, and she continued to deliver critically acclaimed performances throughout her career. Clara Bo, the original It Girl's struggles. Hollywood's first It Girl captivated audiences with her vibrant on-screen presence and became an icon of the Roaring '20s. However, her off-screen life was marked by personal challenges and behavior that often led to conflicts within the industry. Bo's upbringing in a poverty-stricken and troubled family in Brooklyn was a stark contrast to the glitz of Hollywood. Her rise to fame was rapid, but it came with pressures that she was ill-equipped to handle. Bo's lack of formal education and her uninhibited personality, which charmed audiences on screen, sometimes resulted in behavior that Hollywood's elite found uncouth and unprofessional. One notable incident that reflected Bo's struggles occurred during the filming of Call Her Savage for 1932. Bo, known for her spontaneous and uninhibited acting style, clashed with director John Francis Dillon over her performance. Her refusal to adhere to Dillon's directing style and her insistence on improvising led to heated exchanges on set. Bo's unpredictable behavior, a result of the immense pressure she faced, often left the crew and her co-stars on edge. Bo's personal life was a constant source of gossip and scandal, which further complicated her professional relationships. Her numerous affairs with co-stars and other Hollywood figures were well publicized, leading to a reputation that was at odds with the conservative morals of the time. This reputation, whether deserved or not, often overshadowed her talent and contributions to the film industry. The constant media scrutiny and the pressure of living up to her it girl image took a toll on Bo's mental health. She suffered from bouts of depression and anxiety, which were exacerbated by the demanding nature of her career. Her behavior became increasingly erratic, and she struggled with alcohol and substance abuse, further damaging her reputation in Hollywood. Lupe Velez, the Mexican Spitfire's fiery legacy. Known as the Mexican Spitfire, Lupe Velez was celebrated for her vibrant and passionate performances in Hollywood. However, her fiery temperament often led to tumultuous interactions and conflicts, overshadowing her professional achievements. Velez's volatile nature was most famously displayed in her tumultuous relationship with actor Gary Cooper. Their on-again, off-again romance was fraught with dramatic public fights and reconciliations, drawing considerable media attention. Velez's passionate and sometimes aggressive behavior in this relationship was well documented, with incidents of public arguments and confrontations that stunned onlookers and colleagues alike. On set, Velez's fiery personality was equally evident. During the filming of The Girl from Mexico, 1939, and its subsequent sequels, Velez was known for her demanding nature and occasional outbursts. Her insistence on perfection and her unfiltered expression of emotions often put her at odds with directors and co-stars. While her spirited nature was part of her charm on screen, it sometimes translated into challenging behavior during production. Velez's personal life was marked by a series of high-profile and stormy relationships, not just with Cooper, but with other figures in the industry. Her love life was a constant source of gossip and speculation, contributing to her reputation as a tempestuous figure in Hollywood. One of the most tragic aspects of Velez's life was her untimely death at the age of 36. The circumstances surrounding her death were sensationalized by the media, with much focus on her volatile personal life and struggles. This sensationalism often overshadowed her talent and the barriers she broke as a Mexican actress in Hollywood. Despite the challenges she faced, Lupe Velez's legacy in the film industry is significant. She was one of the first successful Latin American actresses in Hollywood, paving the way for future generations. Her vibrant on-screen presence and her contributions to the industry are undeniable. However, her story is also a reflection of the struggles faced by actors who navigate fame and personal challenges in the public eye, and how these struggles can sometimes manifest in behavior that is perceived as difficult. Gloria Swanson, silent screen queen's conflicts. A major star of the silent film era, Swanson was known for her strong personality and her influence in the film industry. While her talent and contributions to cinema were immense, her assertive nature sometimes led to conflicts and challenging interactions within Hollywood. Swanson's determination to control her career was groundbreaking, especially for a woman in the early 20th century. She was one of the first actresses to form her own production company, allowing her a degree of control over her films that was rare at the time. However, this independence and desire for control sometimes brought her into conflict with studio executives and directors. One notable example of Swanson's assertive nature clashing with industry norms was during her work with director Erich von Stroheim on Queen Kelly, 1929. The production was fraught with disagreements over the film's direction and budget. Swanson, who was also the producer, found Stroheim's extravagant spending and slow pace intolerable. The situation escalated to the point where she made the decision to halt production and replace Stroheim, a move that was controversial and bold. Swanson's personal life was equally as headline-grabbing as her professional one. Her multiple marriages and affairs were the subject of much gossip, and her lifestyle was seen as emblematic of the excesses of Hollywood. This reputation, while part of her allure, also led to her being perceived as a diva, particularly as the silent era gave way to talkies and her career began to wane. Her most famous comeback role in Sunset Boulevard, 1950, as Norma Desmond, a faded silent film star, was seen as art imitating life. Swanson's portrayal of Desmond's descent into madness and obsession was critically acclaimed, but it also reinforced the public's perception of her as a relic of a bygone era, struggling to maintain her relevance in a rapidly changing industry. Dorothy Dandridge, talent against barriers. A groundbreaking African-American actress and singer, Dorothy faced significant racial barriers in Hollywood. Her talent was undeniable, but her journey was marked by struggles against discrimination and typecasting. Dandridge's assertive stance against these barriers was often seen as difficult behavior in an era when such resistance was rare and frowned upon. One of the most significant moments in Dandridge's career that highlighted her challenges occurred during the production of Carmen Jones, 1954, for which she became the first African-American woman nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. Despite this achievement, Dandridge struggled to find roles that were not stereotypical or demeaning. Her refusal to accept these limited roles led to a reputation for being selective and challenging, a label that was unjust given the limited opportunities available to her. Dandridge's personal life was also fraught with challenges. Her marriage to dancer Harold Nicholas was tumultuous, marked by infidelity and professional jealousy. The stress of her personal life, combined with the pressures of breaking racial barriers in Hollywood, took a toll on her mental health and professional relationships. A poignant example of the racial discrimination Dandridge faced was an incident at a popular Hollywood hotel where she was performing. Despite being a headliner, she was told she couldn't use the hotel's swimming pool. In defiance, Dandridge dipped her toe into the pool, leading to the hotel draining the entire pool. This act of discrimination and Dandridge's response to it were emblematic of the challenges she faced as a black woman in a segregated industry. Despite these obstacles, Dandridge's talent shone through. She delivered memorable performances in films like Porgy and Bess, 1959, and Island in the Sun, 1957. However, her career was cut short by early death, and she never saw the full recognition she deserved during her lifetime. Miriam Hopkins, Feuds and Fervor. Known for her versatile acting skills in the early days of Hollywood, Miriam also had a reputation for being fiercely independent and often difficult to work with. Her career was marked by feuds with other actresses and a demanding nature on set, which frequently led to conflicts and strained relationships within the industry. One of the most famous feuds in Hollywood history was between Hopkins and her co-star Bette Davis. The animosity reportedly began during the filming of The Old Maid, 1939, where Hopkins felt upstaged by Davis. Hopkins, known for her meticulous preparation and strong opinions about her roles, clashed with Davis over scenes, leading to a tense and competitive atmosphere on set. This rivalry continued for years, becoming a part of Hollywood lore. Hopkins's demanding nature was also evident during the production of Becky Sharp, 1935, the first feature film made in 3-strip Technicolor. Hopkins was insistent on having her ideas heard, often challenging director Rouben Mamoulian's decisions. Her insistence on multiple takes and her attention to detail, while a testament to her dedication, often exasperated the crew and her co-stars. Another notable incident occurred with director Ernst Lubitsch during the filming of Trouble in Paradise, 1932. Hopkins, who had previously worked successfully with Lubitsch, began to assert more control over her character, leading to disagreements over the film's direction. Her strong-willed approach and unwillingness to compromise sometimes made her a challenging collaborator. Off the set, Hopkins' personal life was as dramatic as her on-screen roles. Her multiple marriages and affairs, along with her outspoken personality, kept her in the public eye. She was unapologetic about her lifestyle, which was unconventional for a woman in that era, and this often contributed to her reputation as a difficult personality in Hollywood. Despite these challenges, Hopkins left a significant mark on the film industry. She was known for her ability to portray complex characters and was one of the most sought-after actresses of her time. However, her career was undoubtedly affected by her reputation for being temperamental and challenging to work with. Hedy Lamarr, Beauty, Brains, and Battles. Celebrated as one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood and a pioneering inventor, Hedy had a career that was as tumultuous as it was illustrious. Her personal life, marked by multiple marriages and a series of scandals, often led to a tumultuous career in Hollywood. Lamarr's intelligence and inventiveness were in stark contrast to the roles she was often given, which focused more on her physical appearance than her acting ability. This typecasting frustrated Lamarr, who longed for more challenging roles. Her dissatisfaction sometimes manifested in conflicts with studio executives who were more interested in capitalizing on her beauty than her talent. One of the most significant battles Lamarr faced was not on set, but in her personal life. Her 6 marriages were often the subject of public scrutiny and gossip, contributing to a perception of her as unstable and difficult. Her 3rd marriage to actor John Loder in particular was fraught with issues. The couple's tumultuous relationship was well known in Hollywood circles, and their public arguments and eventual divorce were sensationalized by the media. Lamarr's reputation was further complicated by a shoplifting scandal in the 1960s. Although the charges were eventually dropped, the incident added to the narrative of her being a troubled star. This event, combined with her fading film career, painted a picture of a once glamorous actress struggling to find her place in a rapidly changing industry. Despite these challenges, Lamarr's contributions to both cinema and science are undeniable. She co-invented a frequency-hopping technology that laid the groundwork for modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, showcasing her incredible intellect. However, her scientific achievements were largely unrecognized during her lifetime, overshadowed by her beauty and the scandals that surrounded her. Mary Pickford, known as America's Sweetheart, was not just a darling of the silver screen, but also a formidable force behind the scenes. Her angelic face and charming curls belied a will of iron and a determination to wield unparalleled control over her films. It was during the production of Coquette, 1929, a film that would earn her an Academy Award, that Pickford's iron grip on control came to a dramatic head. The set was abuzz with the usual flurry of activity, but beneath the surface, tensions were simmering. Pickford, insistent on perfecting her transition from silent film to talkies, clashed fiercely with director Sam Taylor. Her insistence on reshooting scenes, despite Taylor's objections, led to a notorious standoff that would become Hollywood legend. One particular incident epitomized the conflict. During a crucial scene, Pickford demanded yet another take, unsatisfied with her performance. Taylor, exhausted and frustrated by the endless retakes, challenged her decision. In response, Pickford, with a steely gaze and an unwavering voice, declared, "This is my picture, and we will shoot until I get it right." The set fell silent, the crew and cast caught in the crossfire of a battle of wills. This moment was emblematic of Pickford's career, a blend of immense talent and an unyielding desire for control. Her battles were not just with directors or studio executives, they were a reflection of a larger struggle for autonomy in an industry where women were often relegated to roles in front of the camera, not behind it. But what drove America's Sweetheart to assert such control? Was it a relentless pursuit of perfection, a response to the pressures of transitioning to talkies, or something more? Mary Pickford. Often hailed as America's sweetheart, Mary Pickford was a pioneer of early Hollywood, not just for her on-screen performances, but also for her formidable influence behind the scenes. However, her insistence on complete control over her films often led to significant conflicts, painting a picture of a star who was as much a stern taskmaster as she was a beloved actress. During the production of Coquette in 1929, Pickford's determination to transition successfully from silent films to talkies was put to the test. She was not only the star of the film, but also a producer, wielding considerable power over the production. Her commitment to perfection led to repeated clashes with the film's director, Sam Taylor. One of the most telling incidents occurred over a key scene that Pickford felt needed to be reshot. Taylor, confident in the footage already captured, resisted. Pickford, however, was unyielding. She believed the scene was crucial to her character's development and the film's success. Her insistence led to a heated exchange, with Pickford asserting her authority and overriding Taylor's decision. This incident delayed the production and increased the budget, but for Pickford, the artistic outcome justified the means. Pickford's control extended beyond the set. She was deeply involved in the editing process, often spending hours in the cutting room, ensuring that every frame aligned with her vision. Her hands-on approach was groundbreaking for an actress at the time, but it also led to her being perceived as overbearing and inflexible by some of her collaborators. Her dominance in film production was partly driven by her early experiences in Hollywood, where she saw firsthand how actresses could be exploited and marginalized. Determined not to fall into the same trap, Pickford took control of her career, making decisions that were traditionally reserved for male executives and directors. However, Pickford's assertiveness came at a cost. Her relationships with various directors and studio executives were often strained. The respect she commanded was sometimes tinged with resentment, and her unrelenting standards led to her being labeled difficult and demanding. Joan Fontaine. An actress celebrated for her poise and talent, Fontaine was equally known for her long-standing feud with her sister, Olivia de Havilland. This rivalry, deeply personal and fraught with complexity, extended into their professional lives, creating tension on sets and within the Hollywood community. The roots of Fontaine and de Havilland's feud were intricate,
woven into the fabric of their early lives and careers. Both sisters were talented actresses, but the competition between them was fueled by more than just professional rivalry. It was a battle for recognition, approval, and love, both from their family and the industry. One of the most public manifestations of their rivalry occurred during the 1942 Academy Awards. Both Fontaine and de Havilland were nominated for Best Actress, Fontaine for Suspicion, and de Havilland for Hold Back the Dawn. The tension was palpable when Fontaine won the Oscar, a moment that should have been purely celebratory but was instead tinged with bitterness. The sisters' relationship, already strained, deteriorated further after this event. On set, Fontaine's interactions were often colored by this rivalry. Her relationships with directors and co-stars were sometimes strained, as many in the industry were aware of the feud and its undercurrents. This awareness created an atmosphere where Fontaine's actions and words were often scrutinized through the lens of her competition with de Havilland. Fontaine's feud with her sister was not her only challenge. She was known to have a reserved and somewhat aloof demeanor, which, while part of her on-screen charm, sometimes led to misconceptions about her personality. Her guarded nature was often mistaken for coldness, making it difficult for her to forge strong connections with some of her colleagues. Despite these challenges, Fontaine's career was marked by significant achievements. She delivered memorable performances in films like Rebecca, 1940, and Jane Eyre, 1943. However, her professional accomplishments were often overshadowed by her feud with de Havilland, a narrative that dominated public perception of both sisters. Merle Oberon. Celebrated for her captivating beauty and talent, Merle Oberon was a prominent figure in Hollywood's golden age. However, behind her enigmatic persona lay a reputation for being difficult, partly stemming from her secretive nature and her demanding behavior on set. Oberon's background was shrouded in mystery, a deliberate choice to craft a persona that aligned with Hollywood's glamorous expectations. She was notoriously secretive about her early life, which was marked by humble beginnings and racial ambiguity, a stark contrast to the image she presented in Hollywood. This secrecy was not just a personal choice, but a survival strategy in an industry and era where racial prejudice could severely limit her career. Her insistence on maintaining this carefully crafted image led to tensions with those she worked with. During the production of Wuthering Heights, 1939, Oberon's relationship with director William Wyler became strained. She was particular about how she was portrayed on screen, often clashing with Wyler over her character's depiction. Her demands for specific lighting and camera angles, driven by a desire to maintain her flawless on-screen appearance, often slowed down the production and frustrated the crew. Oberon's personal life was equally complex. Her marriages, particularly to producer Alexander Korda, were marked by power dynamics that spilled over into her professional life. Korda's influence helped shape Oberon's career, but it also led to perceptions of favoritism and added to her reputation as a challenging actress to work with. Despite her talent, Oberon's career was affected by her insistence on controlling her image and her often demanding behavior on set. Her reluctance to reveal her true self and her insistence on maintaining a certain level of mystique made her a complex figure to many in the industry. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Known for her glamorous lifestyle, multiple marriages, and witty one-liners, Zsa Zsa Gabor was a unique figure in Hollywood. Her flamboyant personality and extravagant lifestyle made her a beloved celebrity, but these same traits sometimes caused friction in her professional interactions. Gabor's approach to her career was as unconventional as her personal life. She was more famous for being famous than for any specific film role, a testament to her ability to maintain public interest through her personality alone. However, this approach sometimes led to conflicts with those who expected a more traditional work ethic and dedication to the craft of acting. One of the most notable examples of Gabor's challenging behavior occurred during guest appearances on talk shows and at public events. Her candid remarks and diva-like demands were part of her charm, but they also led to difficult situations. She had a reputation for being late, changing arrangements at the last minute, and making extravagant requests, which often put her at odds with producers and hosts. Gabor's personal life was a roller coaster of high-profile relationships and marriages, including a tumultuous marriage to hotel magnate Conrad Hilton. Her relationships were often the subject of media scrutiny, overshadowing her work as an actress.
Her open attitude towards her marriages and love life was revolutionary for the time, but also led to her being labeled as difficult and unpredictable. Despite these challenges, Gabor's charisma and ability to captivate an audience were undeniable. She had a knack for keeping herself in the public eye, a skill that made her a lasting figure in Hollywood lore. Her appearances in films like Moulin Rouge, 1952, and Lily, 1953, showcased her talent, but it was her larger-than-life persona that truly made her a star. Zsa Zsa Gabor's reputation in Hollywood is that of a woman who defied convention and lived life on her own terms. Her story is a blend of glamour, wit, and a nonconformist approach to fame. Betty Grable. Renowned as America's favorite pinup girl during World War II, Betty Grable charmed audiences with her talent and iconic looks. However, behind the scenes, Grable's insistence on certain conditions and top billing sometimes led to tension with studios, revealing a less-known aspect of her otherwise affable persona. Grable's status as one of the top box office draws came with significant influence, which she wasn't shy about using. Her insistence on top billing in her films was a well-known demand. This requirement, while understandable given her popularity, occasionally led to conflicts with co-stars and studio executives, especially when it involved ensemble casts or emerging talents. One notable instance of Grable's assertiveness occurred during negotiations for her film contracts. She was known for her specific requirements regarding salary, film roles, and even her co-stars. Her hard bargaining was a testament to her understanding of her worth as a star, but it also earned her a reputation for being demanding and difficult to negotiate with. Grable's insistence on having a say in her film roles and co-stars stemmed from her desire to maintain her image and career trajectory. However, this control over her career choices sometimes put her at odds with the studio's plans, leading to a tug-of-war over her film projects. Despite these behind-the-scenes tensions, Grable's on-screen persona remained that of the approachable and charming girl next door. She was immensely popular among the troops during World War II, symbolizing the ideal American woman. Her iconic pinup photo was a morale booster for soldiers, and her films were box office hits, solidifying her status as a Hollywood legend. Lana Turner. Known for her beauty and talent, Lana Turner was a prominent figure in Hollywood's golden age. However, her personal life, marked by tumultuous relationships and scandals, often overshadowed her career. Turner's temperament and the dramatic events surrounding her life affected her reputation and added a layer of notoriety to her public persona. One of the most defining moments in Turner's life was her involvement in the Johnny Stompanato homicide case. Stompanato, a known mobster and Turner's lover, was stabbed to death in Turner's home. The incident, which involved Turner's daughter Cheryl Crane, became a sensational scandal. Turner's testimony during the inquest, filled with emotion and drama, was front-page news and became a part of Hollywood lore. This tragic event and the media circus that followed cast a shadow over Turner's career and personal life. On set, Turner's personal struggles sometimes translated into challenging behavior. Her relationships with co-stars and directors were occasionally strained due to the stress and scrutiny she faced in her personal life. Turner was known for her strong will and assertiveness, traits that, combined with the pressures of her tumultuous personal affairs, sometimes resulted in a difficult working environment. Turner's numerous marriages and affairs were a constant source of media attention, contributing to her image as a troubled Hollywood star. Her relationship with Stompanato was just one of many high-profile and often problematic relationships that she navigated throughout her life. Despite these challenges, Turner's talent and star power were undeniable. She delivered memorable performances in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice, 1946, and Peyton Place, 1957. Her ability to captivate audiences remained strong, even as her personal life became fodder for public consumption. Susan Hayward. Recognized for her fiery red hair and equally fiery temperament, Susan was a celebrated actress in Hollywood, famed for her intense and passionate performances. However, her dedication to her roles and demand for perfection sometimes made her a challenging figure to work with, earning her a reputation for being formidable and uncompromising.
Hayward's approach to her craft was marked by a fierce intensity. She immersed herself deeply in her roles, often pushing herself to emotional and physical extremes to deliver authentic performances. This dedication, while admirable, sometimes led to friction on set. Hayward was known to be exacting with directors and co-stars, insisting on a level of commitment and intensity that matched her own. One notable example of Hayward's demanding nature occurred during the filming of I Want to Live, 1958, a role for which she won an Academy Award. Hayward's portrayal of Barbara Graham, a woman on death row, was a tour de force, but the process of filming was intense. Hayward's insistence on authenticity led to several emotionally charged confrontations with director Robert Wise, as she pushed for scenes to be as realistic as possible, often demanding multiple retakes to capture the raw emotion she sought. Hayward's personal life was also marked by challenges. She faced several personal tragedies, including the death of her second husband, Eaton Chalkley, which deeply affected her. These personal struggles sometimes impacted her demeanor on set, where she could be withdrawn or exceptionally demanding, a reflection of the turmoil she was experiencing in her private life. Despite these difficulties, Hayward's talent was undeniable. She delivered a series of powerful performances in films like Smash Up, The Story of a Woman, 1947, and With a Song in My Heart, 1952. Her ability to portray complex and troubled characters won her critical acclaim and a dedicated fan base. Ava Gardner. With her striking beauty and captivating screen presence, Gardner was one of Hollywood's most iconic stars. However, her tumultuous personal life, including her high-profile marriage to Frank Sinatra, and her candid nature often brought her into conflict with the conservative standards of Hollywood at the time. Gardner's forthright personality was both refreshing and controversial. She was known for her frankness and unwillingness to conform to the demure image expected of female stars in that era. This candor, while endearing her to many, also led to tensions with studio executives who were wary of her outspokenness and its potential impact on her public image. One of the most public aspects of Gardner's life was her relationship with Frank Sinatra. Their marriage was highly publicized and tumultuous, marked by passionate love and equally passionate arguments. The intensity of their relationship spilled over into the public eye, creating a media frenzy that often overshadowed Gardner's professional achievements. On set, Gardner's straightforward approach sometimes translated into a perceived difficulty. She was uncompromising in her artistic choices and often clashed with directors over her character portrayals. Her insistence on authenticity in her performances led to disagreements and delays in production, but it also resulted in some of the most memorable performances of her career. Gardner's lifestyle, characterized by late-night parties and a social circle that included some of the most famous names in Hollywood, further fueled her reputation as a free spirit in an industry that was still bound by traditional values. Her refusal to lead a private life that aligned with the studio's conservative image of a star was seen as rebellious and challenging. Despite these challenges, Ava Gardner is one talented actress who lived life on her terms. She brought depth and complexity to her roles, from The Killers, 1946, to Mogambo, 1953, showcasing her range and talent. Gardner's story is a testament to the struggles faced by women in Hollywood who defied conventional standards and chose to live authentically, regardless of the controversies that might arise. Martha Raye, celebrated for her comedic talent and dynamic stage presence, Martha was a beloved figure in the entertainment world. However, her strong personality and outspoken nature sometimes put her at odds with directors, fellow actors, and the Hollywood establishment. Raye's career spanned both film and television, where her boisterous and uninhibited style made her a favorite among audiences, but this same exuberance sometimes translated into challenging behavior on set. Raye was known for her candid opinions and did not shy away from expressing them, even if it meant clashing with those in charge. One incident that exemplified Raye's headstrong nature occurred during the filming of a television show. Known for her improvisational skills, Raye often deviated from the script, much to the chagrin of the director. During one particular taping, her ad-libbing led to a heated exchange with the director, who wanted her to stick to the written material. Raye, ever the performer, argued that her improvisations brought a genuine quality to her character, leading to a standoff that temporarily halted production. Raye's personal life was as colorful as her on-screen persona. Her multiple marriages and vibrant social life were the subject of much public interest. Her forthright demeanor in her personal affairs often mirrored her approach to her professional work, leading to a reputation for being bold and sometimes brash. Despite these challenges, Martha Ray's contributions to the entertainment industry were significant. She was a versatile performer, equally at home in comedic and dramatic roles. Her work in films like Monsieur Verdoux, 1947, and her television appearances showcased her range and ability to connect with audiences. Greer Garson. Recognized for her dignified on-screen persona and exceptional acting talent, Greer was a prominent figure in Hollywood's golden age. However, behind her poised and graceful image, Garson was known to have very particular working preferences. She preferred certain types of roles and would often be quite vocal if the direction of a film didn't align with her expectations. Garson's insistence on maintaining a certain standard in her roles stemmed from her commitment to her craft and her image as a sophisticated actress. This commitment, while admirable, sometimes led to tensions with filmmakers. Garson was not one to shy away from expressing her opinions on scripts and character development, and her suggestions were not always well received. One notable example of Garson's exacting standards occurred during the production of Mrs. Miniver, 1942, a role that won her an Academy Award. Garson was deeply involved in shaping her character, insisting on changes to the script to better reflect the strength and complexity of the character. While her input undoubtedly contributed to the film's success, it also led to a strained relationship with the director, William Wyler, who was accustomed to having more control over his productions. Garson's approach to her career was also evident in her choice of roles. She often sought out parts that aligned with her image as an elegant and intelligent woman, turning down roles that she felt did not meet these criteria. This selectiveness, while ensuring she maintained a certain caliber of work, also limited the range of characters she portrayed and sometimes led to disagreements with studios over the direction of her career. Despite these challenges, Garson's contributions to cinema were significant. She delivered memorable performances in films like Goodbye, Mr. Chips, 1939, and Random Harvest, 1942. Her ability to portray strong, dignified women made her an inspiration to many and a symbol of grace and talent in Hollywood. Do you know any other interesting accounts we could cover in future videos? Let us know in the comments and check out the next video. Hollywood is by far one of the most entertaining industries in the whole world, but make no mistake, behind the curtain of who stars in which film, there are puppeteers, powerful individuals who decide what happens and what doesn't. For the most part, a lot of them remained secret, hiding in the shadows while they wielded their power. As a result, some of them have been reduced to rumor, because no one knows for sure if they ever existed at all, and that's exactly how these secret societies liked it. The Studio Heads Club. In the golden age of Hollywood, spanning from the 1920s to the 1950s, a powerful and unofficial group wielded unparalleled influence over the film industry. Known as the Studio Heads Club, this cohort consisted of the heads of major studios like MGM, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and 20th Century Fox. Their decisions shaped the careers of countless actors and determined the direction of American cinema. At the helm of this influential group was Louis B. Mayer of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Mayer, who co-founded MGM in 1924, was a formidable figure in Hollywood. Under his leadership, MGM became the most successful studio of the era. Mayer had a remarkable talent for identifying and nurturing stars. He played a pivotal role in the careers of legends like Judy Garland and Clark Gable, ensuring their rise to fame. Mayer's influence was so profound that he was often regarded as the King of Hollywood, a title that reflected his dominance over the industry. Another key member of this elite circle was Jack L. Warner of Warner Brothers. One of the four Warner brothers who founded the studio in 1923, Jack Warner was instrumental in shaping the film industry's landscape. He was a visionary who saw the potential of sound in cinema, leading to the release of The Jazz Singer in 1927, the first feature-length film with synchronized dialogue. This innovation marked the beginning of the sound era in Hollywood and solidified Warner Brothers as a major player in the industry. Warner was also known for his role in popularizing the gangster film genre, with classics like Little Caesar, 1931, and The Public Enemy, 1931, coming from his studio.
Adolph Zukor, the founder of Paramount Pictures, was another prominent member of the studio heads club. Zukor, who established Paramount in 1912, was a pioneer in the film industry. He was one of the first to recognize the potential of feature-length films, at a time when most movies were short reels. The influence of the Studio Heads Club extended beyond their individual studios. Collectively, they controlled the talent, the distribution, and the production of films, effectively creating an oligopoly. They decided who got contracts, which scripts were developed, and how films were marketed and distributed. This level of control allowed them to make or break careers and to steer the direction of Hollywood according to their vision and interests. One notable example of their power was the case of Howard Hughes. Hughes, an eccentric billionaire and filmmaker, clashed with the studio heads on several occasions. Despite his wealth and influence, Hughes found it difficult to navigate Hollywood without the backing of the major studios. His 1943 film, The Outlaw, starring Jane Russell, faced significant censorship and distribution challenges due to opposition from the established studio heads, demonstrating their ability to suppress competition and control the market. The Hollywood 10. A group of screenwriters and directors, the Hollywood 10 are most famously remembered for their defiance and subsequent blacklisting during the McCarthy era. However, before their fall from grace, they were part of a larger network of influential writers, directors, and actors who significantly shaped the film industry. The Hollywood 10 consisted of Alva Bessie, Herbert Biberman, Lester Cole, Edward Dmytryk, Ring Lardner Jr., John Howard Lawson, Albert Maltz, Samuel Ornitz, Adrian Scott, and Dalton Trumbo. These men were highly respected in Hollywood for their talent and creativity. They contributed to some of the most memorable films of the era and were known for their strong political beliefs, often incorporating social and political themes into their work. Dalton Trumbo, perhaps the most famous member of the Hollywood 10, was an incredibly prolific and successful screenwriter. His work on films like Kitty Foyle, 1940, and 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, 1944, earned him widespread acclaim. Trumbo's ability to craft compelling narratives made him one of the highest-paid screenwriters in Hollywood. However, his outspoken political views and membership in the Communist Party made him a target during the Red Scare. Edward Dmytryk, a director known for his work in film noir, made significant contributions to the genre with films like Murder, My Sweet, 1944, and Crossfire, 1947. Dmytryk's films often explored themes of social justice and were praised for their innovative storytelling techniques. His association with the Hollywood 10 and his subsequent imprisonment marked a turning point in his career. In October 1947, the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, began investigating the Hollywood film industry for alleged communist influences. The Hollywood 10 were subpoenaed to testify before the committee. Instead of cooperating, they boldly refused to answer questions about their political affiliations, citing their First Amendment rights. This defiance led to their contempt of Congress charges, resulting in fines and prison sentences ranging from 6 months to a year. The impact of the HUAC hearings and the subsequent blacklist was devastating. The Hollywood 10 were barred from working in the industry, and many of their colleagues and friends were similarly blacklisted. The careers of some of Hollywood's most talented individuals were effectively destroyed, and the industry itself was plunged into a period of fear and censorship. Despite their blacklisting, many of the Hollywood 10 continued to work under pseudonyms or through intermediaries. Dalton Trumbo, for instance, won 2 Academy Awards for screenwriting under different names during his time on the blacklist. His ability to continue producing high-quality work in secret was a testament to his resilience and talent. The Friars Club. Founded in 1904, the Friars Club was an exclusive private club for entertainers that quickly became a significant power center in the entertainment industry. Known for its lavish dinners, roasts, and private events, the Friars Club was more than just a social hub. It was a place where influential figures in Hollywood gathered to forge alliances, make deals, and shape the careers of rising stars. Membership in the Friars Club was a coveted status symbol, signaling an entertainer's acceptance into the upper echelons of the industry. The club's motto, "We only roast the ones we love," reflected its blend of camaraderie and sharp-witted humor. However, beneath the laughter and conviviality, the Friars Club was a nexus of behind-the-scenes power plays. Groucho Marx, one of the most famous comedians of all time, was a prominent member of the Friars Club. Known for his quick wit and sharp tongue, Marx's influence extended far beyond his performances. As a member of the Friars Club, he was part of a network that included studio executives, producers, and other top-tier entertainers. The connections he forged there helped him navigate and influence the entertainment industry. Milton Berle, often referred to as Mr. Television, was another influential friar. Burley's career in television was groundbreaking, and his association with the Friars Club provided him with opportunities to connect with other influential figures in the industry. Berle's networking within the club helped him secure pivotal roles and endorsements that cemented his place in television history. Frank Sinatra, a legendary singer and actor, was also a key figure at the Friars Club. Sinatra's career benefited significantly from the alliances and friendships he cultivated within the club. His close relationships with powerful individuals in the entertainment world often translated into lucrative film and music contracts. Sinatra's presence at the club's events also added to his mystique and status as an entertainment icon. The private events and dinners at the Friars Club were often the setting for significant behind-the-scenes deals. It was here that studio executives, producers, and agents would meet to discuss potential projects, negotiate contracts, and strategize about the future of the industry. These gatherings were informal yet crucial, as many major decisions were made over cocktails and cigars. One notable example of the Friars Club's influence was the partnership between Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. Their legendary comedy duo, which became one of the most successful acts in show business history, was partly facilitated by their interactions within the Friars Club. The club provided a supportive environment where their talents were recognized and nurtured, leading to a highly successful career in both film and television. In addition to career-making deals, the Friars Club was also a place where reputations could be protected or rehabilitated. Members supported each other through scandals and controversies, offering a network of solidarity that could help mitigate the damage to an entertainer's career. This sense of loyalty and mutual aid was a cornerstone of the club's ethos. The Friars Club's legacy is one of immense influence and power within the entertainment industry. It was a place where friendships were forged, careers were made, and the future of Hollywood was often decided in informal, smoke-filled rooms. The White Lotus Society. The origins of the White Lotus Society are shrouded in mystery. Some believe it emerged in the 1930s as Hollywood's golden age was taking shape, while others speculate it had roots dating back to earlier periods when the film industry was just beginning to assert its cultural dominance. The society allegedly took its name from the white lotus flower, a symbol of purity and hidden power in various cultures. Membership in the White Lotus Society was said to be highly selective, drawing from the most powerful and influential ranks of studio executives, directors, producers, and even some high-profile actors. These individuals were united not just by their status, but by a shared vision for the direction of the film industry and a desire to maintain control over its trajectory. The Society's purported influence over casting decisions was particularly notable. Actors who found favor with the White Lotus Society could expect a significant boost to their careers, landing coveted roles in major productions. Conversely, those who fell out of favor could find themselves inexplicably sidelined, regardless of their talent or popularity. This power to make or break careers was a testament to society's reach within the industry. For example, Greta Garbo, one of Hollywood's most enigmatic stars, was rumored to have benefited from the society's favor. Her meteoric rise and sustained success, despite her reclusive nature and selective filmography, fueled speculation about powerful backers behind her career. Similarly, Orson Welles, whose groundbreaking work on Citizen Kane 1941 initially faced resistance, was believed to have gained crucial support from within this shadowy network, allowing him to complete his masterpiece. The White Lotus Society's influence extended beyond casting to production decisions as well. The society was rumored to have a hand in determining which scripts were greenlit, how films were marketed, and even how they were edited. Their agenda-driven approach often prioritized projects that aligned with their vision or served their interests, sometimes at the expense of more innovative or diverse storytelling. The agendas purportedly pursued by the White Lotus Society were varied and often controversial. Some members were believed to be motivated by financial interests, ensuring that films produced under their influence would be commercial successes. Others were said to push for films that reflected specific ideological or political views, using the medium of cinema to subtly or overtly shape public opinion. One of the most persistent rumors involved the Society's role in enforcing the infamous Hollywood blacklist during the late 1940s and 1950s. Allegedly, the White Lotus Society was instrumental in identifying and ostracizing individuals with suspected communist ties, thereby shaping the industry's political landscape in alignment with their own anti-communist stance. This period saw the careers of many talented writers, directors, and actors ruined by accusations and blacklisting, underscoring the Society's darker side. The White Lotus Society also faced accusations of stifling artistic innovation. By prioritizing projects that aligned with their own interests, they allegedly hindered the development of more experimental or avant-garde films. This control over creative output was seen by some as a way to maintain the status quo and prevent challenges to their dominance within the industry. While definitive proof of the White Lotus Society's existence remains elusive, the stories and speculation surrounding it reflect broader concerns about power and influence in Hollywood. The notion of a covert group wielding such significant control resonates with the industry's history of behind-the-scenes machinations and the sometimes opaque nature of decision-making in the film business. The Blacklist Enforcers. During the tense and turbulent years of the Red Scare in the late 1940s and 1950s, Hollywood was gripped by fear and paranoia. At the heart of this era was a shadowy group known as the Blacklist Enforcers. This covert collective wielded immense power, determining which actors, writers, and directors were branded as communist sympathizers and subsequently banned from working in the industry. Their decisions had profound and often devastating impacts on the careers and lives of many talented individuals. The Blacklist Enforcers emerged as a response to the growing fear of communist influence in America, particularly within its influential cultural institutions. The House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, established in 1938, intensified its focus on Hollywood after World War II, driven by the belief that communist propaganda was being subtly inserted into American films. In 1947, HUAC began a series of hearings to investigate communist infiltration in the film industry. This period saw the rise of the Blacklist Enforcers, a group composed of studio executives, producers, and other influential figures in Hollywood. Their mission was to root out and blacklist those they deemed to be communist sympathizers, thereby aligning with the broader anti-communist agenda of the era. Howard Hughes, a powerful mogul and head of RKO Pictures, was one of the prominent figures believed to be involved with the Blacklist Enforcers. Hughes was an ardent anti-communist and used his considerable influence to support the blacklisting efforts. His actions were motivated by both genuine political convictions and a desire to consolidate his control over the industry. Walt Disney also played a significant role in the anti-communist movement in Hollywood. As a member of the Motion Picture Alliance for the Preservation of American Ideals, Disney testified before HUAC and provided names of individuals he suspected of having communist ties. His testimony and subsequent actions contributed to the enforcement of the blacklist within the industry. The Blacklist Enforcers operated through a combination of public testimony, private meetings, and clandestine agreements. They collaborated closely with HUAC, providing names and evidence, often based on tenuous or circumstantial claims, to support the committee's investigations. Once an individual was named, the Blacklist Enforcers ensured that they were barred from employment within the industry. This was achieved through informal agreements among studio heads, who complied to avoid being targeted themselves. The impact of the blacklist enforcers was profound and far-reaching. Talented screenwriters, directors, and actors found their careers abruptly halted. Notable victims included members of the Hollywood Ten, such as Dalton Trumbo and Ring Lardner Jr., who were imprisoned for contempt of Congress and blacklisted. Their ability to work openly in Hollywood was destroyed, forcing many to write under pseudonyms or leave the industry altogether. Charlie Chaplin, another high-profile target, faced significant scrutiny from the blacklist enforcers. Despite his immense contributions to cinema, Chaplin's political views and outspoken criticism of American policies led to his exile from the United States. His departure marked a significant loss for Hollywood and underscored the destructive power of the blacklist. The blacklist enforcers did not solely focus on those with overt political affiliations. Jeanne Muir, a respected actress, was blacklisted simply for her past association with organizations later deemed subversive. Her career never fully recovered, demonstrating the indiscriminate and often unjust nature of the blacklist. The climate of fear fostered by the blacklist enforcers stifled creativity and innovation in Hollywood. Writers and directors avoided controversial or politically charged topics, leading to a period of censorship and self-censorship. The enforcement of the blacklist created an atmosphere of conformity, where deviation from accepted norms could result in professional and personal ruin. The Masons and Shriners. Freemasonry and its offshoot, the Shriners, are fraternal organizations with roots extending back centuries. Known for their secretive meetings, elaborate rituals, and extensive networks, these groups had members across all sectors of society, including Hollywood. Their influence in the entertainment industry, while often subtle, was nonetheless significant. Freemasonry, established in the early 18th century, is one of the oldest and most well-known fraternal organizations in the world. By the time Hollywood was rising to prominence in the early 20th century, Freemasons were already entrenched in many aspects of American life. Their principles of mutual support, philanthropy, and secrecy appealed to many in the entertainment industry, where networking and influence were crucial. Notable Hollywood figures such as John Wayne and Cecil B. DeMille were reputed to be Freemasons. Their membership in this exclusive brotherhood provided them with a network of influential contacts and a shared sense of loyalty and trust. For Wayne, being part of the Masons meant access to powerful friends and collaborators who could support his career and film projects. The Shriners, officially known as the Ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, was founded in 1872 as an appendant body to Freemasonry. Known for their charitable work, particularly in running children's hospitals, the Shriners also maintained the same principles of brotherhood and networking as the Masons. Hollywood members of the Shriners, such as Harold Lloyd, leveraged their association with the group to expand their influence. The Shriners' reputation for philanthropy and public service provided a positive public image, which benefited its members both personally and professionally. This charitable facade often masked the behind-the-scenes networking that helped members secure favorable positions and opportunities in Hollywood. The secretive nature of Freemasonry and the Shriners meant that much of their influence in Hollywood was wielded behind closed doors. Members could rely on their fraternal connections to gain introductions to key industry players, secure financing for projects, and even influence casting and hiring decisions. This network of mutual support ensured that Freemasons and Shriners often had an inside track in the highly competitive entertainment industry. For instance, the strong fraternal bonds among members meant that a struggling actor or filmmaker could count on the support of his brethren to get a foot in the door. This could come in the form of personal recommendations, introductions to influential producers or directors, or even direct financial assistance. The shared values and trust within these organizations provided a level of security and backing that was invaluable in Hollywood. In a world where every secret is shrouded in shadows and every whisper can spark a scandal, we peel back the velvet curtain to reveal the untold stories of Hollywood's golden era. These aren't just any stories.
their tales so wild they had to be whispered until now. From Errol Flynn's audacious doorstep defiance to Eartha Kitt's celestial escapades with silver screen icons, each chapter uncovers truths more shocking than fiction. Imagine for a moment the literary titan F. Scott Fitzgerald tormented by personal insecurities, seeking validation from none other than Ernest Hemingway in a Parisian bathroom, or delve into the intimate letters between James Joyce and Nora Barnacle, where expressions of love blur the lines of conventionality. Charlie Chaplin, a comedic genius tangled in the web of his desires, claiming the hearts of over 2,000 women, and so much more. Obviously, these are rumors and need to be taken as such. So let's dive right in. Errol Flynn pleasured himself in public. In the whirlwind of Hollywood's glitz and glamour, few tales evoke as much intrigue and amusement as the escapades of the enigmatic Errol Flynn. A swashbuckling figure both on and off the silver screen, Flynn's life was a tapestry woven with threads of scandal and audacity, with one particularly bizarre incident etched into the annals of Hollywood lore. Legend has it that Flynn was a very wild and carefree man, but when people heard what he did to Hedda Hopper, none of them could believe it. It started as a rumor, but it was true. Upset by a scathing article penned by the formidable Hedda Hopper, a Hollywood gossip columnist, Flynn embarked on a daring mission to confront the renowned gossip columnist head-on. With a tempest brewing in his stormy gaze, Flynn arrived unannounced at Hopper's doorstep, intent on making his displeasure known in the most unconventional of ways. What followed was a surreal spectacle that defied all expectations. In a brazen act of defiance, Flynn reportedly engaged in an act of self-pleasure on Hopper's doorstep, much to the astonishment of the bemused columnist. When asked about it, Hedda said, "I began laughing and continued laughing until he finished with a dramatic flourish all over my doorstep," Hopper later recounted with a mixture of disbelief and bemusement. Yet even in the face of such audacity, Hopper found herself unable to stifle her laughter, a testament to the fact that she was not surprised he would do something like that. His reputation preceded him, even in the most absurd of circumstances. She later said, "I'll say one thing for Errol, he's the only man I know who can do that in front of a fully dressed woman who's laughing derisively during the entire process." For Flynn, the incident served as yet another chapter in his larger-than-life narrative, a testament to his penchant for courting controversy with a devil-may-care attitude that endeared him to legions of fans and admirers. Though the details of that fateful encounter may have faded into the annals of time, it is still a shocking rumor that was even more shocking when it was confirmed. Sapri coup. Eartha Kitt's three-way experience. Few tales evoke as much intrigue and fascination as the purported tryst between the sultry Eartha Kitt, the enigmatic James Dean, and the debonair Paul Newman. This legendary liaison, shrouded in the mystique of the silver screen, has become the stuff of Hollywood legend, captivating the imaginations of fans and admirers for decades. According to whispers that have persisted through the corridors of time, Kitt found herself entangled in a passionate encounter with Dean and Newman, two of Hollywood's most iconic leading men. In a moment of unbridled passion, the trio reportedly shared an intimate connection that transcended the bounds of convention, igniting sparks that set the stage ablaze. Though the veracity of such claims remains shrouded in uncertainty, Kitt has been attributed with a quote that purportedly captures the essence of this unforgettable encounter. She said, "Those two beauties transported me to heaven. I never knew that lovemaking could be so beautiful." While it is difficult to ascertain where and when she made this remark, it went out to satisfy the curiosity of the public and act as proof of just how nasty some of the classic Hollywood icons were. In the wake of these revelations, none of the parties involved broke a sweat or tried to define themselves. Hollywood could be like that sometimes, and as far as no one else was wondering about the relationship, the public moved on to the next juicy gist. Scott Fitzgerald was insecure about his organ. In the realm of literary giants, few figures loom larger than Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald. Bound by their shared pursuit of literary greatness and fueled by their solid friendship, the duo's escapades often bordered on the absurd, with one particularly eyebrow-raising incident forever etched into the annals of literary lore.
Legend has it that Fitzgerald, plagued by insecurities regarding his physical stature, confided in Hemingway about his concerns following a remark from his wife, Zelda. In a moment of vulnerability, Fitzgerald sought reassurance from his trusted friend, revealing his anxieties about the size of his manhood. Ever the pragmatic and no stranger to bold gestures, Hemingway allegedly took matters into his own hands, leading Fitzgerald to the bathroom for an impromptu inspection. In a scene straight out of a Hemingway novel, the two literary titans found themselves engaged in a candid conversation about matters both personal and profound. With characteristic bluntness, Hemingway offered his assessment, assuring Fitzgerald that he was perfectly fine. Drawing upon his keen observational skills, Hemingway provided a perspective that transcended the physical, urging Fitzgerald to consider the broader context of his perception. He said, "You look at yourself from above and you look foreshortened. Go over to the Louvre and look at the people in the statues, and then go home and look at yourself in the mirror in profile." Though the veracity of this anecdote may be difficult to confirm, it no doubt highlights the extent of Fitzgerald's insecurity and, more importantly, the depth of their close friendship. James Joyce's and his fart fetish. Between renowned author James Joyce and his wife, Nora Barnacle, rumors began swirling about their marriage headed for the rocks and the fact that something strange was going on between them. But when the truth came out, it was even more shocking than anyone would have hoped. Among the many love letters exchanged between the couple, some have gained notoriety for their explicit content, including Joyce's vivid descriptions of bodily functions, notably Nora's flatulence. In one particularly eyebrow-raising passage, Joyce's affection for Nora takes an unexpected turn as he eloquently praises her butt full of farts during a moment of passion. He describes the experience in vivid detail, reveling in the unique sounds and sensations that accompany their intimate encounters, and he wrote, "It is wonderful to be intimate with a farting woman when every intimate moment drives one out of her." Unabashed and celebrating the unconventional aspects of their relationship, he goes on to express his familiarity with Nora's distinct flatulence, likening it to a girlish noise that sets her apart from others. While Joyce's explicit language may shock modern sensibilities, it offers a glimpse into the uninhibited nature of his affection for Nora. Their unconventional love letters serve as a testament to the depth of their connection and the unbridled passion that defined their relationship. Though Joyce's descriptions may be considered crude by some, they underscore the raw honesty and intimacy that characterized his correspondence with Nora. In their letters, Joyce bares his soul, revealing the unfiltered desires and vulnerabilities that bound him to his beloved wife. Ultimately, while Joyce's letters may challenge traditional notions of romance, they offer a candid portrayal of love in all its complexities. In celebrating the mundane and the taboo, Joyce invites readers to explore the depths of human connection with unflinching honesty and unwavering passion. Charlie Chaplin slept with over 2,000 women. After becoming a worldwide icon early on in his life, comedy genius Charlie Chaplin developed a reputation for pursuing women. He boasted of his conquests relentlessly and claimed that he had slept with more than 2,000 women over the course of his life. He wasn't out looking for love either. When asked in an interview to describe his ideal woman, Chaplin replied, "I am not exactly in love with her, but she is entirely in love with me." What Chaplin didn't explicitly say then was that his ideal women were younger than him. When Chaplin was 25, he entered his first high-profile romance with his 19-year-old co-star, Edna Purviance. 4 years later, when he was 29, Chaplin met the 16-year-old child actress Mildred Harris. Completely infatuated with her, Chaplin relentlessly sent her flowers and waited for her outside the studio where she worked. The two soon became lovers, got married, lost a child, and got divorced. Shortly after the divorce, Chaplin took up with the 15-year-old child actress Leda Gray. He had actually first met her when she was just 6 years old and had cast her in The Kid, 1921, when she was 13. In 1925, Leda, still a teenager, became pregnant. Though Chaplin asked her to get an abortion, Gray refused. Their short marriage produced 2 sons but ended in divorce in 1927. Agatha Christie staged her own disappearance. When the rumors began to circulate that the famous mystery in the 1920s had staged her own disappearance, not everyone believed. As a matter of fact, it is still being contested by some today. But in reality, not only is it true, the reason she did it is just as dramatic as the novels she wrote. Agatha Christie, revered as the undisputed queen of mystery fiction, found herself at the center of a real-life enigma that rivaled the intricate plots of her own novels. In a baffling turn of events in 1926, Christie vanished without a trace for a harrowing 11 days, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and speculation that continues to captivate the imaginations of mystery enthusiasts to this day. The circumstances surrounding Christie's disappearance was once shrouded in mystery, but the truth eventually came to light. On that fateful evening, after tucking her daughter into bed, Christie embarked on a journey that would plunge her into the heart of her own mystery. Aware of her husband's infidelity, she drove off into the night, leaving her car abandoned, teetering perilously on the edge of a pit. 3 cryptic letters left in her wake only deepened the intrigue. One, addressed to her brother-in-law, claimed she had sought refuge at a spa. Another, intended for her secretary, contained mundane, scheduling details. The third, perhaps the most perplexing of all, was directed to her husband, whose contents remain a closely guarded secret to this day. In the wake of her disappearance, a frantic search ensued, with authorities mobilizing an unprecedented effort to locate the missing author. Lakes were dredged, bloodhounds were enlisted, and over 10,000 volunteers joined the hunt, scouring the countryside for any sign of Christie's whereabouts. It was a mystery that seemed ripped from the pages of one of her own novels, with speculation running rampant and theories swirling in every direction. Yet, against all odds, Christie was eventually discovered at a spa, just as she had purported in her letter to her brother-in-law. However, the truth behind her sudden amnesia and her peculiar choice of alias, that of her husband's mistress, only served to deepen the mystery. In the aftermath of her astonishing reappearance, Christie offered only cryptic insights into the events that had transpired. She admitted to considering driving into the pit where her car was found and inflicting harm upon herself, citing the trauma of her husband's infidelity and the recent loss of her mother as contributing factors to her memory loss. In the end, the truth behind Agatha Christie's disappearance remains as dramatic as one of her meticulously crafted stories, a tantalizing mystery that continues to intrigue and beguile generations of readers and sleuths alike. Marlene Dietrich's legs were insured. For decades, when rumors fly about Marlene Dietrich, one of them is that her legs were so gorgeous that she had them insured. On one hand, this was not an unusual thing to do in the era of classic Hollywood, but there were many questions about her reason for doing so. Regardless, as the rumors swirled, everyone wondered if it was true or not. The answer to that is a simple yes. Dietrich's legs were insured, and the reason may surprise you. Marlene Dietrich, the glamorous movie star, was known for being in charge of how people saw her. Aside from all of these, she was also not just talented, but beautiful and full of grace. So, in a photo from way back in 1918, something amazing happened. In that picture, she's just a schoolgirl from Berlin, a bit chubby, with a big bow in her hair and a fancy lace collar. It's a unique side of her, a different side that most people were not used to. But it got everyone talking. The curator of an exhibition about her life, Kate LeMay, points out just how intriguing the photo was. She said, "This is a very sweet, innocent teenage Marlene Dietrich who had recently changed her name. But if you look closely at the photo, there's more to it than just sweetness." LeMay went on to paint a picture. There's a little curl sneaking out of her hair. Back then, having all your hair tied up neatly was a sign of being proper from a good family. But Dietrich let that curl break free. It's like she's saying, "I'll do things my way." But more attractively was the great angle on her legs and how captivating they were. A lot of people got talking about her legs, and this brought a certain level of fame, so much fame that her studio had to insure it. Interestingly, the photo captured a moment before Marlene Dietrich became the famous star we know her as today. A more fascinating fact is that there were also rumors that she insured her voice for $1 million. Loretta Young adopted her own daughter. Whispers and murmurs had gone around for years, hinting at a secret affair between the two stars and the mysterious origins of Young's adopted daughter, Judy. For a long time, these rumors were that Judy was actually Young's biological daughter, and she was hiding it from the world. For a while, there was no fact to prove this until Young's memoirs came to light, and the truth was revealed. The facts of the story were just like the gripping dramas that Hollywood is known for. Young, determined to conceal the true parentage of Judy, orchestrated an elaborate facade, leading many to believe she had adopted the child. Yet behind closed doors, secrets festered, and the truth remained shrouded in mystery. In a startling twist, it was revealed that Young had gone to extraordinary lengths to mask the connection between Judy and her biological father, Clark Gable. Reports surfaced that she even arranged for Judy to undergo surgery to alter her appearance, all to suppress the striking resemblance to Gable. Despite the whispers that echoed around Judy's true heritage, Gable maintained his distance from Judy's life, never acknowledging his role in her existence. Young, burdened by the weight of her deception, adamantly refused to disclose the truth to Judy, leading to strained and tumultuous moments between mother and daughter. The complexity of the situation deepened further when, in a candid moment with her daughter-in-law, Linda Lewis, when there was so much pressure to tell the truth, Young broached the subject of date rape, revealing a chilling revelation. Young's inquiry into the term, sparked by a conversation overheard on Larry King Live, unveiled a harrowing truth hidden beneath layers of secrecy. Young confessed, "That's what happened between me and Clark," her words dripping with the weight of untold anguish. The pivotal moment shrouded in the darkness of a train compartment during the journey back from filming Call of the Wild became a haunting chapter in Young's life. According to Lewis, Young's desire to shield Judy from the painful reality compelled her to carry the burden of silence until her final demise. People believed that Shirley Temple was pretending to be a child. Shirley Temple stood as a beacon of innocence and charm. With her dimpled smile and effervescent charisma, she danced her way into the hearts of millions, becoming the epitome of childhood stardom. However, amidst the adoration and accolades, a peculiar rumor took root, casting doubt upon the very essence of her being. Whispers echoed throughout the spaces in Hollywood, suggesting that behind Shirley Temple's cure face and amazing talent, she was hiding something and being deceitful. Some speculated that she was not the cute child she appeared to be, but rather an adult, masquerading as one but was afflicted with dwarfism. It was a theory as fantastical as it was absurd, yet it gained traction in the curious imaginations of the public. The magnitude of this rumor was so huge and widespread that the people who believed in it outweighed those who didn't. It got so bad that it caught the attention of even the highest echelons of religious authority. The Vatican, ever vigilant in matters of faith and morality, launched an investigation into the matter, determined to ascertain the truth behind Shirley Temple's alleged age discrepancy. In an unprecedented move, the Vatican dispatched a priest to delve into the heart of the controversy, tasked with unraveling the enigma surrounding the child star. With the suspicions of the public on his shoulders, the priest launched into the investigation, and everyone held their breaths to find out if Temple was really a child or just pretending. Apparently, after inquiry and meticulous examination, the truth began to emerge from the shadows of speculation. Contrary to the outlandish theories that had permeated the public consciousness, Shirley Temple was indeed a child, her innocence and youth confirmed by the discerning eyes of the Vatican. The revelation, while perhaps anticlimactic to some, served as a testament to the enduring power of myth and the allure of celebrity. Shirley Temple, with her radiant smile and boundless talent, transcended the boundaries of age and reality, embodying the essence of childhood innocence in a world captivated by illusion. As the curtain fell on the saga of Shirley Temple's alleged age controversy, the legend of the beloved child star endured, her legacy immortalized in the annals of cinematic history. Though the whispers of conspiracy may have faded into obscurity, the magic of Shirley Temple's indomitable spirit continues to enchant generations, a timeless reminder of the enduring power of imagination and wonder. Audrey Hepburn had secret concerts. In the tumultuous landscape of World War II, amidst the shadows of oppression and fear, a young Audrey Hepburn emerged as a beacon of hope and resilience in her native Netherlands. Long before she graced the silver screen with her ethereal beauty and grace, Hepburn embarked on a secret mission that would forever cement her legacy as a symbol of courage and defiance. As the winds of war swept across Europe, enveloping her homeland in turmoil, Hepburn, then just a child, found herself thrust into a world filled with danger and uncertainty. Yet in the face of adversity, she refused to yield to despair, choosing instead to channel her talents towards a noble cause. In secret, away from the prying eyes of the occupying German forces, Hepburn took to the stage, her delicate voice resonating through the hushed halls of resistance. In secret concerts held in the heart of the Netherlands, she sang with a passion that belied her tender years, her performances serving as a rallying cry for those who dared to resist the tyranny of oppression. With each note that reverberated through the air, Hepburn risked discovery and punishment at the hands of the enemy. Yet, fueled by a fierce determination to fight for freedom, she pressed on, undeterred by the peril that loomed ominously on the horizon. Through her selfless acts of bravery, Hepburn became a beacon of hope for her fellow countrymen, inspiring them to stand firm in the face of adversity. Her unwavering commitment to the cause of freedom served as a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human soul, even in the darkest of times. As the war raged on, Hepburn's contributions to the Dutch resistance remained shrouded in secrecy, a silent testament to her unwavering dedication to the cause.
In 1966, Hollywood was shocked. Bobby Fuller, a famous musician, was found dead in his car. People knew him for his music, but he also had a tough side that caused trouble. This story isn't just about him. Many stars in Hollywood have been known not just for their acting or singing, but for being really difficult to work with. From Thelma Todd, who was known for her quick temper, to Mickey Rooney, who often clashed with others, we'll learn about some of the biggest jerks in Hollywood history. Bobby Fuller, a rock and roll mystery. He was a rising star in the mid-1960s, known for his energetic performances and his major hit, I Fought the Law. Born on October 22, 1942, in Baytown, Texas, Fuller was passionate about music from a young age, influenced by the likes of Elvis Presley and Buddy Holly. By the time he was a teenager, he was already leading his own band, the Bobby Fuller Four, and was on his way to becoming a national sensation. Despite his success and growing fame, Bobby Fuller's career was marred by controversies and rumors of difficult behavior. Behind the scenes, Fuller was often described by his bandmates and colleagues as demanding and temperamental. He had a specific vision for his music and was not shy about pushing for what he wanted, sometimes to the detriment of his relationships with others in the industry. Fuller's insistence on control extended to all aspects of his band's performances and recordings. He was known to be a perfectionist in the studio, often requiring numerous takes to get the sound exactly as he envisioned it. This perfectionism led to tensions with band members, who found his standards exhausting and his attitude increasingly difficult to tolerate. Aside from his conflicts within the band, Fuller's interactions with music industry executives were also strained. He was determined to make his mark and was unwilling to compromise on his artistic integrity. This rigidity sometimes resulted in heated exchanges and damaged professional relationships. Rumors swirled around Hollywood about Fuller's confrontations with producers and record label executives, which added to his reputation as a difficult artist to work with. Tragically, Bobby Fuller's life and career were cut short when he was found dead in his car on July 18, 1966, in Los Angeles. The circumstances surrounding his death were mysterious and controversial. He was found with multiple bruises and gasoline poured over his body, leading to widespread speculation about foul play. However, the official cause of death was ruled as accidental asphyxiation, leaving many questions unanswered and fueling conspiracy theories. George Reeve, Superman's struggle behind the scenes. Most famously known for his iconic role as Superman in the 1950s television series, George Reeve was a beloved figure on screen, embodying the virtues of the quintessential superhero. However, behind the scenes, Reeve's relationship with his colleagues and his behavior on set were often far from heroic, marked by moments of arrogance and difficult interactions that strained professional relationships. Born in 1914 in Woolstock, Iowa, Reeve rose to fame quickly after World War II. His portrayal of Superman made him a household name, but the typecasting that followed became a source of frustration for him. As his career options narrowed, Reeves' dissatisfaction grew, which he often took out on those around him. Colleagues from the set of the Superman series reported that Reeves could be imperious and dismissive, particularly towards the writers and directors. He was known to openly criticize script changes and direction decisions, insisting that his understanding of the Superman character was superior due to his long tenure in the role. This led to numerous conflicts with producers who found him increasingly difficult to work with. One notable incident involved a young director who suggested a minor change to Superman's mannerisms, which Reeves did not take well. According to crew members who witnessed the exchange, Reeves' response was disproportionately harsh. He belittled the director in front of the entire cast and crew, questioning his credentials and his understanding of the character. This outburst was not an isolated incident. Similar stories of Reeves' arrogance and lack of patience were common, contributing to a tense atmosphere on set. Additionally, Reeves' relationships with some of his co-stars were also fraught with tension. He was often cold and aloof to new actors joining the cast, expecting them to immediately perform to his standards without the usual period of adjustment. His lack of support and mentorship for his colleagues was noted by many who worked with him, contrasting sharply with the supportive and wholesome image he portrayed as Superman. His behavior extended beyond the set. At industry events, Reeves was known to be charming and engaging when in the public eye, but he could quickly turn dismissive and rude once away from the cameras. Several industry insiders recalled occasions where Reeves' demeanor changed drastically once he believed he was out of the public view, treating staff and lesser-known actors with disdain. Johnny Stompanato, Hollywood's infamous bully. A bodyguard and enforcer for gangster Mickey Cohen, Johnny Stompanato was also known for his tumultuous relationship with film star Lana Turner. His life was marked by aggression and intimidation, not just in his underworld dealings, but also in his personal relationships, particularly with Turner and others in the Hollywood elite. Stompanato was born in 1925 in Woodstock, Illinois, and moved to Los Angeles after serving in the Marines. He quickly became involved in the criminal underworld, but it was his relationship with Lana Turner that thrust him into the Hollywood spotlight. This relationship, however, was anything but glamorous and often showcased Stompanato's true nature as a manipulative and abusive figure. Colleagues and friends of Turner recounted multiple instances where Stompanato's presence brought tension and fear. At Hollywood parties and gatherings, he was known to flaunt his connection to organized crime as a means of asserting power, often making others uncomfortable or outright scared. His behavior wasn't limited to verbal threats. There were several reported instances of physical altercations, where Stompanato would assert his dominance through violence or the threat of it. One particularly public incident occurred at the 1958 Academy Awards, where Stompanato's jealousy and controlling behavior were on full display. He forbade Turner from attending the ceremony alone, fearing she would leave him for someone more influential in the industry. This event culminated in a heated argument witnessed by several of Turner's co-stars, which not only embarrassed Turner, but also highlighted Stompanato's volatile temperament. His controlling nature extended to Turner's professional life as well. He was known to show up unannounced on film sets, interrupting her work and causing scenes. His presence was so disruptive that during the filming of Another Time, Another Place alongside Sean Connery, Stompanato stormed onto the set in a jealous rage, mistakenly believing Turner and Connery were having an affair. Connery, a former bodybuilder, had to physically remove him from the set, further humiliating Stompanato and straining his relationship with Turner. The culmination of Stompanato's aggressive and domineering behavior was his death at the hands of Turner's daughter, Cheryl Crane, who stabbed him in self-defense during a violent confrontation at Turner's home in 1958. This incident was widely publicized, casting a dark shadow over Turner's career and serving as a tragic reminder of Stompanato's dangerous influence. Bob Crane, behind the charming facade. Best known for his starring role as Colonel Hogan in the popular television series Hogan's Heroes, Bob Crane was once one of America's favorite television stars. However, beneath his charming on-screen persona lay a complex and often troubling personal life, marked by scandalous behavior that eventually overshadowed his professional achievements. Born in 1928 in Waterbury, Connecticut, Crane's career began in radio before he made the transition to television, where he quickly gained fame. His role in Hogan's Heroes made him a household name, but as his celebrity status grew, so did his indulgences in the more salacious side of Hollywood life. Crane was notorious for his compulsive sexual behavior, which included numerous affairs and an obsession with documenting these encounters with photography and video, a hobby that he often shared with close friends in the industry. This behavior was well known within the industry and often led to uncomfortable situations for his co-stars and crew members, who found themselves unwilling participants in his explicit conversations and displays. His co-star Richard Dawson recounted several instances where Crane's behavior was particularly problematic on set. Crane would often boast about his sexual exploits, showing off photographs and even inviting cast members to participate in his activities. This behavior created a palpable tension on set, as many of his colleagues were deeply uncomfortable with his oversharing and felt pressured by his presence. Moreover, Crane's personal life began to interfere with his professional relationships. His marriage to his second wife, Patricia, ended in part due to his infidelities and obsession with sex, which he often did not bother to hide from his friends and colleagues. His behavior led to isolation in the industry, as few wanted to be associated with his increasingly notorious reputation. The dark side of Crane's life culminated tragically when he was found murdered in his apartment in Scottsdale, Arizona, in 1978. The murder was believed to be connected to his personal life, with suspicion falling on individuals involved in his more clandestine activities. The case was never solved, but it left a lasting impression of a life that had spiraled out of control. Peter Ivers, tensions behind the innovative front. A key figure in the avant-garde music scene of the 1970s and early host of the influential New Wave theater, Peter Ivers was celebrated for his creative genius and eclectic musical talents. However, Ivers was also known for a particularly abrasive side that often clashed with colleagues and friends, leaving a trail of strained relationships in the creative community. Born in 1946 in Boston, Massachusetts, Ivers was a Harvard-educated musician whose work spanned various genres, from blues harmonica to composing songs for films like Eraserhead. Despite his intellectual and artistic prowess, Ivers's interpersonal interactions were frequently marked by episodes of intense confrontation and difficult behavior. In the tightly knit circles of the Los Angeles music and art scene, Ivers was notorious for his uncompromising artistic vision. His confrontational style was evident in his handling of creative differences, where he often insisted on his ideas without considering others' inputs. This stubbornness led to numerous fallouts with collaborators, who found him both inspiring and infuriating in equal measure. One notable incident involved a heated disagreement during a recording session where Ivers vehemently disagreed with a producer over the direction of a music track. Witnesses recalled that the argument escalated to the point where Ivers threw his harmonica across the room and stormed out, halting production for days. Such outbursts were not uncommon, and painted a picture of a man deeply passionate about his art, but difficult to work with. Furthermore, his role as the host of New Wave Theater showcased another dimension of his complex personality. Behind the scenes, Ivers was described as demanding and often overly critical of the performances, pushing artists to their limits. While this often resulted in compelling television, it also created a tense atmosphere backstage. His critical nature extended off-camera, where he was known to be dismissive of genres and artists that did not meet his artistic standards, alienating peers who felt belittled by his harsh critiques. Despite his challenging personality, Ivers's tragic death in 1983 left a void in the artistic community. He was found murdered in his Los Angeles apartment, a crime that remains unsolved but speculated to be possibly linked to his contentious interpersonal relationships. His death underscored the complex legacy of a man who was as much a provocateur as he was a pioneer in the music industry. Gene Spangler, Hollywood's elusive enigma. An aspiring actress and dancer, Gene Spangler became a prominent figure not only for her potential in Hollywood, but also for her mysterious disappearance in 1949. Her case, which remains unsolved, captured public attention and spawned numerous theories. Behind her glamorous aspirations, Spangler was known among colleagues for her often unpredictable and difficult behavior, which added layers of complexity to her relationships within the entertainment industry. Born in 1923 in Seattle, Washington, Spangler moved to Los Angeles to pursue her dreams in the film industry. She managed to secure minor roles in several films, showing promise as an upcoming actress. However, her career trajectory was marred by her reputation for being unreliable and difficult to work with on set. Jean often arrived late, unprepared, or in a state that suggested she had been out the previous night, which frustrated directors and fellow actors. Spangler's personal life was equally tumultuous and often spilled over into her professional interactions. She was known for her vibrant social life and for mingling with a crowd that included dubious characters, which led to rumors and gossip that further tainted her reputation. Her charm could quickly turn into manipulation, as she sometimes used her relationships to advance her career or to get out of professional commitments. One particular incident on the set of a movie illustrated her complex relations with co-workers. After a disagreement with a director over her lines, Spangler reportedly used her charm to persuade the producer to side with her, effectively bypassing the director's authority. This action created a rift among the crew, with some admiring her assertiveness, while others saw it as a blatant disregard for professionalism. Her disappearance in October 1949 added a tragic mystery to her already complicated life. After leaving her home with a note saying she was meeting with her ex-husband and then going to work on a film set, she was never seen again. The cryptic circumstances of her disappearance, her purse found in Griffith Park with straps broken and no further clues, left many to speculate about connections with unsavory characters she might have crossed. The investigation into her disappearance also revealed the strain in several professional relationships. Co-workers described her as both a dazzling presence and a troublesome diva, which reflected the dual aspects of her personality. Her story is often cited in Hollywood as a cautionary tale about the perils of navigating fame with a controversial personal life. Bruce Lee, the Dragon's Temper. A legendary figure in martial arts and cinema, known for his physical prowess and philosophical approach to martial arts, Bruce Lee also had moments that showed a different side of his character. Renowned for his roles in films like Enter the Dragon and The Way of the Dragon, Lee was instrumental in popularizing martial arts worldwide. However, beneath his disciplined exterior, he occasionally exhibited a fiery temper which impacted his relationships within the film industry. Born in 1940 in San Francisco and raised in Hong Kong, Lee returned to the United States for college and to establish a career in martial arts instruction. His transition into Hollywood was marked by his unique blend of charisma and intensity, traits that made him a star, but sometimes also led to friction with colleagues and business partners. Lee was known for his perfectionism on set, demanding not just of himself, but of everyone around him. This high standard often led to tensions, especially with producers and directors who were unaccustomed to his meticulous attention to detail. During the filming of The Green Hornet, Lee's insistence on authenticity in martial arts sequences often put him at odds with the show's directors, who were more focused on sticking to tight production schedules than on the accuracy of martial arts techniques. Another incident that highlighted Lee's temper occurred during a promotional event for one of his films. When a reporter questioned the authenticity of some of his fight scenes, Lee became visibly upset and defensively articulated the depth of his martial arts knowledge and the effort put into choreographing each scene. This confrontation was uncomfortable for those present and demonstrated how quickly Lee could be provoked when his professional integrity was challenged. Lee's relationships with other martial artists sometimes also veered into contentious territory. He was competitive and occasionally dismissive of other martial arts styles, which led to challenges and rivalries. One such rivalry was with Wong Jack Man, a fellow martial artist. Their private bout, which stemmed from Lee's open criticism of traditional martial arts schools, became legendary for its intensity and the secrecy surrounding its outcome. This event was emblematic of Lee's combative nature when confronted with opposing views. Despite these moments, Lee's contributions to martial arts and cinema are undeniable. His philosophy of Jeet Kune Do emphasized adaptability and efficiency over rigid adherence to tradition, a reflection of his innovative spirit. His on-set conflicts, though less celebrated, are a testament to his passion and unyielding pursuit of excellence, characteristics that both propelled his career and created barriers. Rebecca Schaeffer, a rising star shadowed by discontent. A promising young actress known for her role in the television series My Sister Sam, Rebecca Schaeffer faced the darker side of Hollywood before her tragic murder by an obsessed fan in 1989. While Schaeffer is remembered for her vibrant personality and tragic end, there were moments in her brief career that revealed the pressures and challenges she faced, which sometimes led to difficult interactions with colleagues. Born in 1967 in Oregon, Schaeffer's ascent in Hollywood was swift, propelled by her charm and talent. However, as her career progressed, the pressures of fame began to take a toll. Despite her public persona of an ever-smiling, upbeat young actress, behind the scenes, Schaefer sometimes struggled with the demands placed on her by the industry. During the filming of My Sister Sam, insiders noted that Schaefer occasionally displayed signs of frustration and impatience, particularly with the slower aspects of production such as long waits between scenes and numerous takes. These moments of discontent were out of character for the young actress, who was known for her professionalism, but they highlighted the strain she felt under the constant scrutiny and pace of television production. One notable incident occurred during a guest appearance on another show, where Schaefer expressed dissatisfaction with the way her character was written, feeling it was a step back in her career trajectory. Her objections led to a tense discussion with the episode's director, where Schaefer insisted on script changes to better align with her evolving career goals. While the situation was resolved amicably, it left some crew members surprised at her assertiveness, which contrasted with her usual agreeable nature. Schaefer's challenges extended to her interactions with the press. At a media event, she once remarked candidly about the typecasting she experienced, showing a side of her that was more critical of the industry. This openness about her frustrations with Hollywood, though honest, was met with mixed reactions, with some praising her candor and others viewing her as difficult. Despite these incidents, Schaefer remained a beloved figure among her peers, known for her kindness and dedication. Her tragic death at the age of 21 shocked the world and underscored the vulnerabilities of young actors navigating the complexities of fame. Schaefer's story is a poignant reminder of the pressures faced by rising stars and the need for support and understanding in the high-stakes environment of Hollywood,